getting the lead in the early game.
Awesome. Looking forward to it, Jung. Thanks so much for your time. Back to you guys on the analyst desk.
Thank you, Mika. Penguin, loudest on the team. Now we know who's making all the noise up on stage, I suppose.
Also, Jaejong, I think I'm the better laner. I'm getting at a lead during the early game. That's what I like to hear.
Exciting stuff. That will be the next matchup going tomorrow. But our next match today features Team Queso versus Sengoku. Queso had a tough time with J-Team, and Sengoku lost their first match of Icons 0-2 to RRQ. And both of the #1 seeds have been struggling so far. A big historical match.
I know, this is going to be crazy because when we look back at Horizon Cup 2021, it was Sengoku that did a big 2-0. The games were beyond 20 minutes. It went through the long haul. It's because of the mid and jungle duo, which is Hack and Rush. Rush was on power farming junglers while Hack was on more of that utility. He played both Orianna 2 times. But I think the difference in factor here is that last year they had Dejiwo, the captain, roaming early into the mid lane, setting up plays. But this time around, I feel like, Oki definitely has a lot of big shoes to fill to replicate that performance.
And I want to flip over to the opposite side of that Hack and Rush mid-jungle duo is Andreset. And we've heard how good a jungler he is. We've seen his stats regionally and his performances regionally, where Team Queso were able to enable him to take over the entire game. That didn't work internationally. Hack and Rush are going to be a really good test of this. Can they enable Andreset against such a good and well-prepared jungle lineup?
That's going to be the test of Team Queso. So let's take a look now at our predictions and what we expect going into this matchup. Bam!
Bam!
Shazam! Bam!
Woo!
Okay, all of us going with the historical data. 2-0 at Horizon Cup.
Yep.
Hey, might just be 2-0 twice.
Yeah.
I will say, this is a much weaker Sengoku and a much stronger Team Queso. So I do believe these teams are well within striking distance. This is anyone's game. It's like, even though we're all biasing towards the team that is favored.
So are you the same opinion, Riku? Like, it's close. Do you think a 2-1?
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be a 2-1. This is going to be very long games. I feel like it's going to go beyond 20 minutes each just because of how slow Sengoku game plays and how their great defense on the aggression that Team Queso can do at the early game.
I'm of the similar opinion. I don't think it's going to be a 2-0. I expect
55%, 45%.
That's close for the EU fans out there. And this is the last teams from each of these regions here at Icon. So a lot on the line for all the fans. Send them your energy, everybody at home, as we're about to send our energy over to the casters because game 1 is set to start. So let's send it back to Rafa and Hell's Devil for the cast.
I'm not getting enough energy. Did all of you really just go for Sengoku gaming right there? I mean, come on.
God, Europe, if you're awake right now, send Hells your energy. He needs it.
We need it because this is it. This is the only European team remaining, also the only Japanese team remaining. So this is it for both regions.
You know what? Stuart is also cheering from the hotel room as well.
Whoever loses right now is probably going to be called the worst region in the world.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Let's hold the brakes there. This is a tough competition.
True, we still have NA to come out.
This guy. Producer, I need a new caster. This guy's getting out of control.
I'm sorry, Rafa, but as we head into the draft, I want to talk about it.
It's all banter.
Because Sengoku did their homework. They banned out the Shen, which has been a major part of the success from Team Queso, right? Acolyte on that Shen, just doing a phenomenal job in that Baron lane, winning his lane, and then also doing Shen things, basically. Using that ultimate and then winning the game.
You know who's very familiar with Shen things? Kangas.
Kangas?
Yeah. Kangas is a good Shen
He loves
player.
Shen, yeah.
Yeah. And he's on, you know what? We're going to have to get Kangas' opinion on Shen later on. But Sengoku cleaning out the last draft, they don't want to deal with the Yumi, and they don't want to prioritize it either.
Yeah, it makes sense, because when you put Yumi on Team Queso, it's going to be Andres to the power of 2, right? You're not just dealing with Andres, you're dealing with Andres with a Yumi attached to him. So obviously Sengoku doesn't want to do that. Lulu is still open, and we saw Methanol play the Thresh in the last series. I don't like that, because this is a bit of a newer player to competitive, and if you put him on these hard-to-play champions, which he hasn't even practiced that much, there's going to be so much pressure on him to perform, because he has to hit those hooks. He has to go in. I want to see him on those enchanters, right? Like, provide support for his team and allow his team to carry the game.
Well, Team Queso have not locked down a support yet, but they need an answer into Camille. Whether this is Camille in the Baron lane for Kai or for Rush in the jungle, it is uncertain.
Rush is so good at that coming. He plays it very, very often in the jungle, and it's a very, very scary threat to deal with. And now the Lee Sin is banned away as well, so you don't have that counter to the Camille. And Team Queso answers with some power picks, right? It's the Jace, it's the Corki. These are pretty much all-round picks that always work.
This is good double poke, especially when you're setting up for siege situations as well as objective setups. If you can poke off Sengoku before they get to the objective, you give yourselves a health advantage.
But you're not getting a tank in the Baron lane right now, because this is very likely going to be a Jace in the Baron lane. Never seen Andres play Jace in the jungle, although this is a Ziggs. I don't like this Ziggs, Rafa, because you're dealing against this poking composition of Team Queso. I believe Ziggs is going to get outpoked, and he's going to have a really hard time to do his job during team fights.
Being able to step up will be difficult slightly for Ziggs in the situation, but it's not about the safety of the Ziggs here, Hells. He's going to be a screen away. He's throwing a Mega Inferno Bomb so that the Kazakhs for Rush can clean up.
And another champion that works very well into the Ziggs is the Gragas. Like, first of all, Team Queso wants to deny Gragas from Sengoku, and then secondly, Gragas is really, really good against the Ziggs. Gragas is also good against the Camille to push her out of her ultimate. So I would give it I would say that Team Queso needs to pick the Gragas here, because if they don't, it gets banned away. But this is a Riven, and this is a Riven jungle. This is what we want to see on Andres. These are the types of champions we want to see him play with. These are the types of champions he just absolutely 1v9s with.
Riven has such amazing carry potential. The floor is a little high, but the ceiling is even higher. And if you can perform on this champion, you can truly take over a game.
And Andres is hanging on that ceiling. He's hanging on that ceiling. He's gonna play the champion the best way possible. So Team Queso bans out the Gragas themselves. Again, I would have loved to see them pick up that Gragas, as it's such a good pick, but yeah, they have to ban it away. You don't want to be dealing with a Gragas Kazakhs combo. It's like an historical combo that no one wants to deal with.
Displacement sends people astray, and they're isolated. Boom,
they're
boom,
all
boom.
dying.
It's a Kazakhs fantasy right there.
Definitely, and that's a singed ban from Sengoku. Very, very good, because Vegos loves that singed, and singed would do very, very well into the Camille and the Kazakhs as well. Sengoku knowing what to ban. It's really good to see that Sengoku has done their homework against Team Queso, and they know what to ban. That is an Alistar ban, however. That is a target ban to Uki. No one bans Alistar.
Usually you take it away when you are so concerned about wombo combos being set up, or when you are trying to take away tools that would deny your team from being able to engage.
Definitely. So it seems like Team Queso, Team Queso is either afraid of Uki or they want to engage, and it actually seems like they do want to engage because they have that Riven. So they want to just take away the Alistar, which is a really, really good anti-engaging champion as well, and a good engaging champion himself too. So yeah, very, very good ban from them, and Rakan is the response.
Yeah, Sengoku reading that, hey, these guys are ready to fully press on the accelerator. We're going to take away one of those guaranteed engage tools.
And now don't pick Thresh. There it is. Oh, there it is. This is what I want to see.
Guys,
the Lulu.
I wish I could show you the camera, but literally, Hells did like a 360 twirl, dude. He just spun out of excitement. It sent him wheeling.
This is it, Rafa. That's what I'm saying. You don't want to put Methanol on the Thresh. You want to put him on the Lulu. You want to put him on the Yubi. He needs to enable his teammates. Like, as I said, this is a very young player. He's gonna have a lot of pressure. Put him on that Lulu, and that's a Zed. Zed is not a good response to the Lulu, because whenever you use your ultimate on someone, Lulu is gonna knock you right back up. And I don't like this Zed pick from Sengoku right now.
So Sengoku are going to the double assassin comp here,
Again,
Hells,
yeah.
and they are attempting to overload them with assassination damage.
And you know what the interesting thing is? Because Sengoku is a Japanese team, and every single Japanese team, every single game they played during the Icons has been late game games. They play towards that late game, and Team Queso is responding to that. Because if you reach the late game with that composition, even though Jace is not as strong, Riven and Lulu are super powerful, and I assume Team Queso is going to pick yet another pretty strong late game champion just to allow them to outskill Sengoku in this game.
Team Queso, 5 seconds on the clock. You saw the Galio as a response from Sengoku. What is the champion that ties everything together?
Ooh.
And so the Renekton coming in for Acolyte will be used to keep Kai down during the early laning phase and giving methods for Team Queso to snowball.
So that's not the late game champion that I was thinking about. So it actually seems like Team Queso wants to ramp up their game and destroy Sengoku during the early game. They have that Corki as well, which is going to be very good during those objectives. So it's going to be all up to Team Queso to direct this game and to win through the early game and just outskill Sengoku.
You have so much late game damage from the Ziggs that will come online the further the game scales up. Zed becomes a champion that with the death mark cooldown becoming shorter and shorter, yes, even if you don't get them on the first try, you just wait 20 seconds and then boom, death mark's available again, you go for another assassination attempt.
Definitely, and that's why I don't necessarily like the Renekton pick from Team Queso, but we're gonna see how much pressure they can put up with it, right? Acolyte is a great Renekton player, and he's gonna have to win his lane. He's gonna have to get an advantage for his team. He's gonna have to make sure his team can get those objectives and get the lead that we saw T1 do earlier, right? Like, that's what Team Queso has to do. Get the objectives, get the turret, ganks, and with that playstyle, Team Queso should be able to easily close off this game against Sengoku Gaming.
And it's all about leveraging the early pressure from those solo lanes, the Jace and the Renekton. They have the ability to get the first shove against specifically champions like Zed and Camille, who want to wait until level 5 specifically, so that they can actually have the ultimate ability to be able to take them down in a 1v1.
And I just hope Team Queso's morale is still up, because they just got demolished in their first series. I hope they're, you know, right back at it like, hey guys, it's okay. We can still win this, and we're heading into game right now.
And 219 days ago, Hells, this matchup, Sengoku and Team Queso, happened just like this one in the Horizon Cup, where it was an elimination match. Team Queso got cleaned out 2-0 by Sengoku.
And it was not even close, right? It was not even close. Sengoku absolutely destroyed Team Queso, but this is a new Team Queso, and it's a bit of a new, not as new Sengoku, because they got a lot of the same players, but yeah, they're playing up against each other right now, and we're finally in game.
Sengoku are looking to repeat history, whereas Team Queso are looking to change history. They are looking to change their story, and this time be the ones victorious.
Show the world what EU is made of, I guess, right? Like, at least beat out the Japanese region. Oh, Team Queso can't do it, Rafa. I'm telling you, Team Queso can't do it. They just have to be in their game. Like, the first series, they were not in their game. But we'll see, we'll see. I'm not sure what's happening this series, but looking at the players before this game, it felt like they were in the zone, right? Like, when you go on stage, you have to be in the zone. You have to be in the game, and all your mind has to be focused in the game. So while we're talking, both junglers are taking a bit of a passive approach. They're doing a full jungle clear. It seems like no crazy aggression as of yet, but Andres is moving towards the mid lane.
Well, if they're going to be passive, I want to talk about Hawk and Rush, because these are two long-time, not just Wild Rift players, mobile esports players coming from Korea. They came over to Japan, and they have been some of the premier players in the WJC, and they have helped lead Sengoku to victory many times, not only in their region, but also getting international wins on the big stage.
Yeah, definitely. They're also content creators, by the way, for the people that don't know. They both make amazing YouTube videos on YouTube, and you can see how good they are, right? Like, they play everything, and then in competitive, they focus on one role as well. It's just phenomenal to see that content creators can make it to a big stage as the #1 seed from Japan as well.
Are you saying that that's going to be your goal next year, Hell?
Well, I'm a caster right now. I'll be a pro player next year.
Oh! Hey,
No,
clip that!
it's a
clip
joke,
that.
it's a joke.
Hey, production, you got that clipped, right? We're saving it for next year now.
No, I'm joking.
I'm going to hold you to your word now, Hell.
No, it's incredibly hard to do, because as a content creator, you have to spend so much time creating content, playing a lot of different champions, especially Hawk. He plays everything on YouTube. He makes videos on everything. But then he also has to specialize on that mid lane, and the fact that he is the best mid laner in Japan right now, like, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. It really shows that their experience is paying off.
Hawk and Rush, man. And Rush in a similar position as well.
Yeah.
Also does his own YouTube videos as well. But then for Sengoku, these are the two primary leaders. And one of the questions we had, their old support for Sengoku, Deja Vu, not being on the roster, had questions about whether Sengoku were going to be able to function as same and as dominantly as they did during the Horizon Cup. So far, Sengoku, they are in the elimination round. They are in the lower bracket, but against Team Queso, we're going to see if they can live up to maintaining that win streak against Team Queso.
So looking at this game, we're 3 minutes in, you know, no one has done anything. Team Queso is behind a little bit of gold. Again, when you have that Jace, when you have the Renekton, this is not what you're looking for. When you choose to pick a Renekton as your last pick, you're choosing to go aggressive. So Acolyte needs to try to make more plays, needs to try to make more ganks happen with Methanol, with Andreset, but right now, nothing is happening, Rafa.
We're already past level 5 for both of these solo laners. Acolyte, having not seemed to have really established a huge lead against Kai, and Andres not syncing up with any of the solo laners to look for any aggressive plays.
So we saw it coming from Sengoku, where they wouldn't really do any ganks, where they would try to scale into the late game. But I didn't really see it coming from Team Queso, because I want Team Queso to make the plays. But yet again, you can see Acolyte is just not going all in. He's not confident enough in himself right now. Even though he's winning the matchup against Kai, like, he needs to make it happen now. If Camille reaches level 30, she's completely outscaling you.
She'll have access to that. Divine Sunderer, you get the extra
True
percent max
damage.
health, true damage on top of it as well with the Sheen power proc. It's just so difficult. Team Queso making their first move as a team, securing the Scuttle Crab once again on the top side of the map. We are 40 seconds away from the first two objectives.
So that's a Hull Breaker Zed, and I assume, yeah, there it is, a Hull Breaker Jace as well. It's going to be Hak against Vegos. Both of them are going to be split pushing the game. We see this happen a lot, but now it's actually Sengoku making the move.
Camille, Hextech Ultimatum, so damn simple to make happen.
Oh.
And Acolyte, even with the flash away, it is Rush on the board for first blood.
There it is. It should have been the opposite side. It should have been Team Queso with that gank. Rush coming in with a really, really important gank right there, using his flash, securing that kill, and Sengoku is not going to go for the dragon, I assume, right? Or they're not going to fight for the objective, because Team Queso has that Corki package, so Sengoku is going to try to look to shake hands during those objectives, and it seems like indeed they're putting their eyes on the Rift Herald right now. But Queso's not letting it happen.
Sengoku, can they clean this one out without any response from Team Queso? Doesn't look like that's the case.
And I love that Team Queso is not shaking hands, Rafa. I love that Team Queso wants to take the fight. Again, they're wanting to take the fight, but they're not doing it. Go in. The Corki package is running out. You have to take the fight right now. This is the moment where Team Queso has to do it. But again, they're playing it so passively. They're wasting so much time. And Joey is going to lose his package. He lost his package.
Sengoku just playing with great patience, and as soon as Team Queso show any aggressive movements forward, they take a step back and say, hey, he can't have the package forever, just wait it out, and then Team Queso can't find a way to pull a trigger.
And now Team Queso, it's going to be so hard for Team Queso to go in because they don't have the package anymore.
Okay, but Andres flashing forward for the knockup. 4-man knockup from the Lulu Wild Growth. Andres goes down, and Sengoku now have the ability to respond. They clean out Methonaut. Joey is left alone, but Rush does not have enough health as Acolyte comes in for reinforcements.
And that's the Rift Herald going over to Joey Skex. He secured it. Team Queso took that Rift Herald, which is very likely going to be resulting into a mid-lane turret for Team Queso. No turret has been taken yet, so this is a very, very important objective, as it's going to get Joey Skex super ahead. And as we look into this replay right here, Andres set with a very good engage. Methonaut following up with a very, very good Lulu ultimate, which allowed Team Queso to steal that Rift Herald, which allowed Team Queso to get ahead in this fight, and which allowed Team Queso to finally make that play that they had to make.
And considering the fact that Team Queso were outnumbered there before Acolyte got in to clean up the fight, if all four of them had been able to match in the 4-on-4, it could have been so much damage dealt. So Sengoku, very, very grateful that it wasn't all the 4 members of Team Queso.
So Andres is giving up this dragon, but he's looking for a gank right there in response.
Wants to snowball Vejos. Kai forced to use Hextech Ultimatum under the tower. He's able to outplay it and gets out alive.
Nothing from Team Queso, and they're not going to be able to kill Kai under this turret right now, as he's a full HP Camille. I mean, he can probably even 1v2 them under the turret at this point. Joey Skex.
We've seen it happen.
We've seen it happen. Oh, I remember the play you're talking about, actually.
And I don't think it was specifically Kai, but we have definitely seen Baron laners on the Camille outplay members in the 2 or in the 1v2 specifically.
Definitely. And Joey Skex put the Rift Herald in mid lane, not necessarily getting that mid lane turret, which I feel was a bit of a loss for Team Queso, because they should have gotten a turret. Like, there were multiple other moments of chances that Joey could have taken, because the Rift Herald timer was not running out yet. He could have waited a little bit and tried to take that mid lane turret instead of just tickling it.
They got quite a number of plates on the mid lane, but not taking out completely means that first brick is still up for grabs for anyone. And I imagine the Sengoku now coming into their own. First item spikes on a majority of the members here means that they can be ready to strike.
Definitely. And Team Queso is also sitting on a lot of items. It's the Ardent Sensor on the Lulu, so she's going to be buffing Andres, she's going to be buffing Joey Skex, she's going to be buffing her entire team in those team fights, but the question is it enough? We saw Andres engage earlier on into 4 people. He did get chunked down, but then because of that Lulu ultimate, he was able to survive. So there is potential for Team Queso to win team fights like that, but there's also potential for Sengoku to just one-shot anyone in a team fight.
And the cool thing that Andres is doing with his build is by rushing Divine Sunder, he's getting pseudo durability from the sustain that you get from the empowered Shiananos, and you have so many ways to proc it with all of her abilities. So Andres is just trying to be almost a pseudo-engage and just buying as much time as he can on a champion that you wouldn't suspect to be a tank or frontline.
Yeah, definitely. This is Vegos dealing with the gank.
Oh, Hawk tanking as much as he can, combined
Oh.
with Rush, but Vejo survives it! Team Queso turn around the dive.
And that's the power of the hole breaker. Vegos was able to survive because of that hole breaker.
He didn't even burn
well played.
barrier!
He didn't even burn his barrier. He just survived with the hole breaker.
Dude, he wasn't even worried. I
Ooh.
thought Vejos was blinking, and now Team Queso have an option to collapse on the bottom side of the map, but it is instantly reacted by Kai. Hextech ultimatum on Andres, forcing him to flash over the wall. It gets Kai's flash back to the turret as well.
And that's 4 people from Team Queso looking for aggression in the bot side, but Sengoku is not allowing it. They have such great wave clear with that Galio, with that Ziggs, with the Zed. Sengoku is just really, really good against these turret dives because their wave clear just doesn't give any time to Team Queso. Like Team Queso had multiple occasions where there were 4 people on the bot side of the map trying to look for a gank, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, anytime a wave comes up to a Ziggs,
It's
boom.
just gone. Boom.
Full combo, it's gone.
Yeah, definitely. And yet again, now Team Queso got another Corki package, another Rift Herald has spawned. I want to see more aggression this time, Rafa. I want to see Team Queso go for it. I want to see Team Queso just use that package to their lead. No, don't wait it out. Just rush that Rift Herald. Either get the Rift Herald or take a fight.
Now, Team Queso have the means to at least step up forward and bait Sengoku in. Acolyte is on the bottom side of the map, making sure that Kai cannot join the reinforcements on the other side. Sengoku stalling out the Rift Herald so far.
Team Queso, go for it. Go for that Rift Herald. Fight. You only have 100 seconds on that Corki. Very interestingly, it's actually Rush that hits it first, but oh, Rush is looking for some blood.
Vejos forced to burn the barrier, and this time Huck cleans him out with the Death Mark.
And yet again, Team Queso, what are you doing? Take that fight. Andres takes a fight, takes a lot of damage, and there, another free Corki package. What is happening, Rafa?
Sengoku just able to maneuver and out sidesteps the side of Team Queso here. And without the package threat, Sengoku seems like they could just start up this Rift Herald now.
Yeah, now they have the advantage. They have the team. There's 5 people from Sengoku right now, and unfortunately, Acolyte is waiting in his base, and 1 is just pushing everyone away, while Sengoku secures a free Rift Herald.
Sengoku Gaming. There's a couple moments. That first fight after the first Rift Herald, Team Queso seemed like they were able to answer back. Acolyte doing everything that he can to defend this turret under the tower, but the stasis already used means he has to flash away from danger. Rush trying to track him down. This Crocodile gets out alive.
And meanwhile, on the opposite side of the map, Anders trying to hurt Kai, but Kai showing you how to defend the turret. Showing everyone. Yet again, there's 3 people. Let's see if Team Queso can do it.
Kai has Exec Ultimatum. Watch how he uses it to dodge damage. Already lost on the turret. Kai, not even concerned.
1 versus 4, and Kai does not die. And if you look at the opposite side, Acolyte in a 1 versus 3 got absolutely blasted. This is really showing how good the draft apparently is from Sengoku, because that Camille was not dying in the lane. Meanwhile, Acolyte on the Renekton, unfortunately not really able to do much. And here, this is what you want to do with the Rift Herald. Sengoku secures the mid lane turret, as opposed to Team Queso, who had that Rift Herald on Joey Skaggs, were not able to get that mid lane turret.
Team Queso didn't have the setup necessary prior to knock it out in one fell swoop. They have position over the Dragon. No package available, though, means that, or package available, means that Team Queso are going to have to see if they can bait Sengoku in.
Yeah, this is probably going to be a proper 5 versus 5, but yet again, it currently feels like Sengoku just has the upper hand, and Rush is indeed rushing this Dragon right now. He wants to make sure he applies the pressure on Team Queso. This is what Queso is missing.
Flash from Andres tries to secure the Dragon. Wild Growth already gets a knockup, but the Dragon's already been secured from Sengoku, and how well can they clean up? That is the answer and the response that Team Queso need to find. Bombs has already been used. The burst damage is through, but Andres finding second win. He's got the cooldowns. He's tracking down the Ziggs. Exhaust has been used. He's slowed down. There's a turret there. Team Queso can't find any more. They lost out on Acolyte, but they traded one back to Hawk.
That's another Dragon going over to Sengoku Gaming, but that's like 3 or 4 kills going over to Team Queso. Good response by Team Queso. Great of them to survive with a low amount of HP, but that's another Dragon going to Sengoku. And as we head into this replay, Andres just a tad bit too late to steal it away. We know he's famous for doing that, but he missed it this time. But the team fight was looking very, very good. Ziggs was doing so much damage, but he's not finishing anyone off, as you can see. And then it's just cleanup time for Team Queso. Acolyte, however, boom! Got absolutely destroyed by Rush. So Rush still doing his thing as a Kha'Zix, but it looked promising for Team Queso, Rafa.
Team Queso able to withstand the burst damage, despite Juan putting out what seemed like a megaton.
5,500 damage during the team fight. That is the power that the Ziggs has, just dealing so much damage. He didn't go for that late game approach. You see that? We keep talking about it. So many Ziggs and Orianna players go for the late game approach, but he didn't, and you can see it. Look at that damage!
Deathcap rushed, stalling out the Seraphs instead, but Hawk is on the forefront looking for the Deathmark play. Rush has found an isolated Vejos, picks up another one. The double assassins from Sengoku putting in work.
And even though Metalot actually went for a stasis enchant and his ultimate and everything else, it was still not enough to survive the assassination from Huck during the team fight. Just Sengoku Gaming playing those assassins truly to their powers and asserting their dominance in this game right now.
They're taking out a bottom tower as well, giving less ground for Team Queso to stand on.
Yeah, and Andres unfortunately not able to get a lot of gold. This is not the Andres that we know. Seems like he's struggling a lot against these international junglers. You're playing up against Rush, who is the best jungler in Japan right now. It's just, you know, you can't win as easily as you do in Europe into those matchups. And as we look into the replay, we can see Rush just showing so much aggression. Just, you know, Vejos has no chance to survive. And then as well, Kai follows up. Like, this is the synergy you need to have between your team.
I'm pretty sure that when a Kha'Zix gets this fed in the early game, I mean, we've seen it in our solo queue games, and we've seen why when some of the best teams around the world are able to get their Kha'Zix super fed, you cannot be walking around in your jungle all by yourself, because you don't know if there's a void bug looming around the shadows.
You cannot be isolated when if a Kha'Zix is fed. Rush is sitting on a 4,000 gold lead against Andres.
4 items! What the heck?
I never thought I would ever say that against a jungler like Andres, but Rush is sitting on a, I'm gonna repeat, Rush is sitting on a 4,000 gold lead against Andres set. 4th item finished, and now that he has a Guardian Angel, it feels like he's gonna be unkillable during those team fights as well.
Yeah, you gotta get through stasis on top of it.
Stasis as well, all that damage, the Black Cleaver health, he's level 14 as well. He's gonna be running over Team Queso during those team fights, and the only way that I see Team Queso kill off Rush on that Kha'Zix is honestly gonna be Joey Skaggs on that Corki.
Storm Razor Infinity Edge completed. He's got a decent amount of crit damage in those auto attacks, but it's gonna take more than just firing auto after auto. You're gonna need to entice Sengoku to let Rush be sitting all by himself, and obviously that's not gonna happen. You're gonna need lockdown from Team Queso.
And Sengoku is going for another gank right here.
Nice stasis, canceling out the Hextech ultimatum. Vejos getting out alive with the flash. And you have Acolyte putting in work on the other side of the map, being able to at least trade a turret, because they know they can't defend this one for long.
And honestly, that's what Team Queso has to do. Defend their own base and try to get something on the opposite side of the map. So indeed, Acolyte getting that turret was a very, very important thing for him to do. And yeah, they just need to try to get back into this game. But the problem is, Sengoku is known to get into the late game, right? Like, this is a team who exactly plays like this. They get into the late game, and they're not going to lose anymore, Rafa.
Sengoku with a 5,000 gold lead. Borderline 6,000. There's a Baron alive at the ready. So many turrets have been taken away from Team Queso, which means that the range of which they can safely overextend is starting to shrink.
There he goes again. Rush is just looking for blood again. He's sitting on nearly 16,000 gold, which is probably going to be his 5th item very, very soon as well. And then also looking at one on that Ziggs, sitting on 3.5 items, and those are big, big items that he has. He's going to be dashing out so much damage. And then also Sengoku, they have the tanks. They have Uki on that Galio this time. He's going to be going in, and I just don't see how Team Queso can take care of it.
Well, Hells, it's Elder Dragon time in the next 8 seconds.
We know what can happen.
Team
We know what can happen with Team Queso and Elder Dragons, Rafa. I want you to say it for me.
Andres, I saw the 2 Elder Steals in your grand finals
damage.
over in the WMEA. So if you can make it happen, it's got to be now.
And exactly this situation happened as well, where they were losing the game and then just steal the Elder Dragon.
Sengoku, and I imagine they did their homework.
They did.
They're not just rushing the Elder so lightly. They are making sure that they're putting pressure on the other side of the map so that Hawk will at least force one member from Team Queso to respond.
Definitely. Oh, that was a
huge
good
engage. Package, delaying as much time as possible stasises from multiple Team Queso members, but Andres has already been eliminated. And if the jungler from Team Queso is gone, then it is an open field day for the rest of Sengoku to wipe out Team Queso.
Sengoku taking the game against Team Queso, showing them who's boss. That was probably the best package that Team Queso could have ever gotten. Vejos, ooh. Vegos was doing a good job in a 1v3, but that was probably the best package that Joey Skaggs could have ever gotten. And as Sengoku gets the prime gaming ace, they're gonna be finishing the game as well. And this is 1-0 for Japan right now. This is 1-0 for Sengoku against Team Queso.
Sengoku moved to match point in their elimination round. Team Queso 1 game away from being sent home.
Oh, Rafa, I'm not sure what to feel right now. That was an amazing performance by Sengoku, but that's 1 game away from Europe.
It's
being knocked
confliction.
out.
It's the conflict within you. It's like, man, I love good Wild Rift gameplay, which is what Sengoku demonstrated. But I know the
Deep within me.
the EU fan. You're like, man, Team Queso,
At this
pull
point,
it together, hold it in for game 2.
At this point, I just want to see them win 1 game. Just 1 game. Don't get
Well,
wiped out. Just win 1 game for us.
From here, Sengoku putting on a fantastic performance, and we highlighted at the top of the match, it was going to be up to Hawk and Rush, the 2 primary carries for this team, the long-standing members of Sengoku, and boy, oh boy, did they deliver.
Oh, Rush especially delivered. I mean, the fact that he just
full
destroyed,
build.
he destroyed Andres in the jungle. I mean, this guy is an undisputable god in EU.
Yeah.
And he got destroyed by Rush. Phenomenal gameplay from him. And 5-item Kazakhs. We saw what happened, right? We saw how many of those kills he got.
Well, Hells, I know you're feeling desperate right now. Kangas, Riku, and TJ. Oh, what? TJ's got something on the stick.
Showing me his notes.
What does it say?
So it's all according to plan. It's
Ah.
just, that's what we knew was going to happen. Is going on here.
No surprises.
Or in the words of Riku before he went live, history repeats itself.
History repeats itself once more.
History repeats itself.
Yeah, it's rough to have TJ and I attempt when Riku's already so good at it, but it is repeating itself, Riku, because this is what happened at Horizon Cup last year. Sengoku again now up in the series here at Icons versus Team Queso.
Yeah, the score is the same so far, and Rush being able to be, again, the main pivotal point on why Sengoku has been winning these games. Even before, back at Horizon Cup, he was on power farming junglers like the Graves, and now he's on this Kazakhs. He was, what, 5-1-1 at some point, and he was unstoppable. No one can hold him down because, take note, looking at the composition from Team Queso, they had no solid engage.
Yeah, their theory of engage was that somebody goes in on the front line, probably Anderson on the Riven, and then when everyone jumps on them, you hit them with the wild growth and they get very big moded, and there's a knock-up around that. And that's kind of the entire theory, which means that in order to properly engage, as we saw in the later Dragon fights, your main damage source needs to put themselves at tremendous risk.
They have to go forward. They have to be the one that started off into all of the burst damage from Sengoku, and it didn't work. When they tried it.
I can see the logic. I can see the thought process of, okay, whoever's the target of the 2 assassins, which is Hawk and Rush on Zed and Kazakhs, will be granted the wild growth. You will be denied a burst damage because you have a ton of HP, you are huge, and you'll soak all the damage. But unfortunately, that did not work.
No, and a big thing that we saw over the course of this game was a pretty slow early game. Team Queso quite successfully able to slow down the pace of play. But every moment that we're in this downtime, Sengoku were getting more gold on the map, they were farming wave more efficiently, because a huge part of how Team Queso were slowing the game down was rotating together.
Yes.
And their entire team is roaming around the map as a big squad. Sengoku, a little bit more spread out, are getting more gold. And so by the time we got to this late game, it was a very big set, it was a very big cockroach, and there was no way to turn that game around.
You can see the celebration there. I actually don't have confirmation of where that is, but I'm assuming Sengoku.
I'm going to take a guess and say that is not in Europe.
Definitely.
I am going to assume, and we had this conversation even at the very beginning of Icons, and it's continued throughout Icons. The #1 seeds from their own regions win in styles that work in that region. It works for them how they played the game there, but now at the international stage, we're seeing all these styles clash, and that group together, everybody just fight, let Andres carry. It's not working for Team Queso.
And I want
There was an attempt, right? There was an attempt with that big Rift Herald fight where he was able to get that big knock-up on the Riven with 3, but the follow-up, unfortunately, wasn't there.
And that was before the damage was really online to counter the engage style, right?
Yeah.
Because we saw him dive in, get half HP'd, and then the wild growth saved him. And the plan worked as intended. Once the Zed does real damage, that doesn't work as well, which you see in the game-ending fight, where the initial engage is so scary, like the Corki package gets blown defensively. Team Queso instantly lose their front line, and still, to their credit, make this interesting. Team Queso obviously have some very good mechanical players, but the weaknesses we've seen in European team fights all season are really coming to the fore against teams like Sengoku, who do have those strengths.
Yeah, that's why I wanna double down on that, because they have a lot of mechanical players, and that's the reason why they drafted this very strong mechanical heavy composition, Riven, Renekton. So unfortunately, all of these coming together, I don't think they had that big enabler. I felt like they needed like a set or something, like a big wombo combo to enable all of those damage.
If we're looking bright side, TJ, I know you have a point there, but look at the gold graph. I mean, it was relatively even up until a certain point. So if you're trying to look for silver linings for Team Queso, there were still moments where maybe they could have found some different plays to get them back in.
Yeah, each of those dips is one of the early game team fights, where Team Queso did quite well. And I think more experienced team on this stage, Sengoku made some roster swaps recently, don't look fully backed up to form. I think a more comfortable team looks at what's happening, goes, oh, Team Queso are winning early game team fights, let's just not take those team fights.
Sure.
Sengoku didn't quite have the map play to deny them that, and so we got a ton of early fights where Team Queso actually performed quite well. But the other thing is, whenever you're like, oh, this game's pretty even, you have to be looking at what happens in the late game. Well, Galio is really scaring and very difficult to kill. Camille comes online, Ziggs comes online, and Zed comes online with massive damage. So Sengoku, when the game is like pretty early during the initial phases, are actually doing all right. Especially into a composition with Team Queso, you might be like, oh, but TJ, they have some scaling champs too. They do, but they don't have a scaling composition.
Yeah.
That team isn't going to win late game team fights. Even though some of those characters get stronger, the team isn't going to win the fights.
Yeah, that's why for Team Queso, they have a very short window to make that composition work. Basically, the first Rift Herald, the first Dragon, and the second Rift Heralds and Dragons. That's the window that they basically had to take fights and take objectives and win that early lead.
Sorry, I just had to flex on TJ.
Oh, I want to do it
She
too.
was so
You have
proud
a
of
pen
it.
too, don't
You
you?
have
I
one,
want
right?
you to
Okay.
spin.
She doesn't want to drop her pen. She's there we go.
Yes.
That's to represent the flips at the objectives.
Yeah.
Coin flips at the,
Exactly, those fights. So, TJ, I want to, because when we were actually, before the game ended, we were talking about, what happened to Team Queso. One of the points that you had was the draft that they went for doesn't necessarily have a clear identity. What's something that you can change going into a game number 2 where maybe they can still fit something that they're comfortable with, but that gives them an actual win condition, gives something to play towards?
Well, I'm not a huge Lulu fan. It's very popular in the European region, but I think we saw the vulnerabilities of the character here. If you're going to draft the Lulu, it needs to be with a character that is going to be able to hard carry the game and with a front line that can protect that character.
Yes.
And we didn't see that. So if you're drafting the Lulu, put hard scaling carry in the bottom lane alongside it and draft some tanks elsewhere on the map. One of the biggest criticisms I have of European drafts is it tends to be, oh, these are 5 characters, all of which can win their lanes, and not, this is a team fight we can win through, or this is a macro game we can win through. And I think we saw that weakness, where Jace is really good, but Jace isn't going to win the game by themselves, and they're not going to be able to win those lane fights, and they don't fit into the team comp that's around them.
Yeah, going back to your Lulu point is that when you do draft a Lulu at the bottom side, you are sacrificing the potential tanky engage that you need for the team to activate fights, activate early game fights and roams.
Which, imagine if they had engage with that composition. They could have actually been a little more proactive. So before we get into pick and ban here, I want to give a challenge, because this is one more loss and Team Queso's out. That means every European region team is out of Icon. So Hells, I know you're on the cast. We're going to need a monologue going into this next one. Start thinking about it, because you'll have pick and ban to write one up here. But you got to rally the team.
What's the line? What does it start with? It starts with success?
It starts with success.
Starts with success.
There you go, Hells. We already wrote the first line for you.
Hell's Devil, I don't know if you know this meme, you have to begin with, it starts with success, and then like 3-4 sentences about how good Team Queso are and how they're going to win the game.
Yep, that's your homework.
And that will help them.
I think it can't hurt. Especially if they lose, and then we can meme Hells even more for that. But you gotta do it. You gotta back your region.
So talking about the compositions that we were mentioning earlier. I gave one example of how you play around the Lulu. Because you do have Anders Zed, and that is the player we're talking up, I want to highlight how different the way that they're playing to enable him is from how other regions are playing to enable their junglers, especially if you look at something like FPX, who puts a ton of resources into 0-7-11. The way they do it is they really put him on something hard scaling and team fight scaling, like the Jax, that can solo win team fights by themselves. Anders Zed needs a pick like that, and then he needs tanky teammates that will enable him to reach that game point, and CC that will enable him during early game fights so that he can succeed by finding those picks, getting those early injections of gold.
And the way that 7-Eleven also does it with the team is they give turret plates to junglers
Oh,
early.
yeah.
They'll play for the early lane pushes so that the jungler can be there to get a little extra gold. We haven't yet seen teams like Team Queso opt for that strategy, but who knows? They can always adapt into this series.
That's why if you see a Camille open again in this in this draft, perhaps watch top side. Watch once more if Rush and Andres gets carry junglers. Watch First Blood happen at top side. I swear it's gonna happen again in game number 2 if they do pick those.
And the like comparison to China, I think, really does highlight the problem that is happening for Team Queso, which is, to be fair, the same problem that happens to NA teams internationally. You win the region by being good enough to get early kills and being good enough to find isolated picks off of mechanical skill alone. That is not going to work against the other teams that won their regions. And Team Queso don't seem to have figured out how to play around Anders Zed in such a way as to hand him gold, even in games where he's not just flat outperforming other players.
There's that Camille you were talking about, Riku. Prioritized heavily there. Blue 1 for Sengoku.
And again, if Rush picks a carry jungler like the Jax or the Kha'Zix, he's most likely going to pick it up again. It's so easy to get early kills with a Hextech Ultimatum, level 5 burst damage. And if Team Queso again picks a very squishy draft like what they did earlier on, Wild Growth is not going to help you become tankier. I think Rush again is going to get the kills that he needs to propel his game.
Can I make a different proposed change?
Uh-huh.
Team Queso, if you are really attached to the Riven Jace, that's okay.
Yeah.
There are regions that play like that, but in that Enchanter support role, they have a Nami, and what you do is you leave your AD carrying, in this case probably the Corki, alone in lane, and you use the Nami as a roam to start fights, the Corki to play from the backlines. However, I don't think this is AD carry Corki.
Yeah. I feel like this is going to be a very standard poke composition. That means they can't do the big all-ins that they did earlier. So Team Queso, they need disengage if they're going to go for this poke composition.
And when I see poke compositions, I think things like Kha'Zix.
Disengage. Yes, Kha'Zix as
But also
well.
things to kill the people that are poked down. Which
Yeah,
Anders Zed
the void
could
spikes are
pilot.
painful.
So far, Sengoku are perfectly happy to match this, though. Grabbing the Ziggs means they can play at equivalent range and will outdamage a Jace and a Corki in the late game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. So I wonder what route... Oh! They grab it instead!
Okay.
Again, Sengoku is getting everything that's completely strong, everything that has scaling, everything that was in the previous game as well.
Everything that we're saying, maybe Team Queso won it. Sengoku's like, no.
No.
We won that. We're going to piece together this draft because the same thing can be said, like you had mentioned before, Riku. The Camille locks somebody down. Kha'Zix jumps in. You even have a Ziggs Mega Inferno Bomb from range that can follow up on top of that. Sengoku, I'm seeing a very clear combo in this draft already.
But this Thresh pick could pivot to a Varus and then Corki mid for Vejos once more. So that means they have more fighting power at the early game. It's gonna be a triple poke composition without the engage. That means they're gonna go all in with a single target. And that's how they're gonna counter Rush. They're gonna squash the bug with a bunch of long-range attacks.
Yeah, you never like, some people do like the tissue to kill a bug. I prefer like the fly swatter, right? You know, stay at range, be as far away as possible.
You throw your fly swatter?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh.
I scoop them up in a little cup and I take them outside because it's
That
not
is
their fault that they're in my
the
house. They
most
don't understand that it's my
Jay
house.
answer I've ever heard.
And I
Oh
want
my
them to be
God.
happy and
Respect
live outside.
You know what?
I don't think that works against Kha'Zix in a wild
The
room.
weirdest
Scoop and put it in a
item,
little cup.
the weirdest item I've used to kill a cockroach, a bug, is a dumbbell.
That, oh.
I don't
I mean,
use
that's
it though.
effective.
I squish.
That's
Flesh.
Anyway.
How heavy was the dumbbell? That changes. the
I don't know,
perception.
but I had a bit of a hard time
Heavy
carrying
enough.
it. Yeah, so there's your
Heavy
answer.
enough. You didn't even need to throw it. You just drop it.
Yeah.
I will flag the Thresh here. I don't super like because Thresh is kind of a lighter weight support. And so it's in that middle ground where this team comp again is built around picks that can make outplays. This is characters that can make mechanical differences and not a coherent ideology or a coherent theme as a team yet.
But what I like about the Thresh pick is it answers the problem of the previous game where they didn't have Engage. So a lot of reliability again of those death sentences landing, and the box is a really good terrain spacing to deny, again, Rush and as well as Kai going in.
I just don't like it when you already know the Ziggs is available on the other side.
True.
Because if Sengoku
Whoa!
doubled down on range here, can you give me that noise one more time?
Oh!
All right, I'm going to finish my point and then you
Okay.
can talk about it. So, the Ziggs at long range just allows you to poke down something like a Thresh from so far away that a lower HP support like Thresh isn't going to be relevant in these fights.
For half a second, I thought he wanted me to repeat that. But
No. Because the Vi is a... When I see a Vi, again, the first thing that comes into your head, single target. Does Team Queso finish with a Varus? Or they settle with this instead and just funnel every single damage on the side of Sengoku.
And I really like this Sengoku response, just saying, okay, I can have a front line, we can use this Galio to defend against any engage you want. We'll take the poke battle and rely on a long-range scaling Ziggs to win that fight.
You know what's another pick? Yasuo. Yasuo Vi. You know, there was a common thread last year at Horizon Cup. I believe it's Yasuo Lee Sin, but Yasuo Vi has been picked by, I believe, Tribe and Team Secret. That was a very
Yasuo
common
Diana
combo.
was the big one.
That
as
too.
well. Yeah.
So
but
this is it. This is the pick.
Vi can get the knockups. Thresh, technically, even
Yeah.
Corki package.
TJ shaking his head.
But we don't know yet.
I'm looking at a team of very squishy characters into Sengoku who have the most burst available. And that Darius does not work with anything else here for me. I think this is another really good draft for Sengoku. They have a ton of really quick burst damage and some very easy targets to apply it to. If any of those assassins catch out individual Team Queso members, they're gone.
We talked about the identity of the team. What do they want to do? Camille, Ziggs, Galio combo, an age-old classic. Double assassins seems to be the meta here for a lot of teams at Icons. It feels like Sengoku have such a clear win condition.
I know, they can even pivot to 1-3-1. Kai's gonna scale, Rush is gonna scale, or rather even Hawk as well with a split push.
And it's going to be so hard for Team Queso to properly engage because what they do have, Vi, Darius, Thresh, all pretty short-ranged engage. They need those characters to have line of sight against Sengoku, and that is the only way they can win.
Hells, I hope you have that speech prepared. Team Queso's gonna need it, so let's send it back over to Rafa and Hell's Devil to see if we can send it to a Game 3.
It starts with success. Success is about overcoming your losses, overcoming your demons. Team Queso is on the edge of going home right now, but this is where you have to bring it all out. Andres said, the most celebrated jungler of Europe, the power of Europe, the hope of Europe. Team Queso, I believe in you. Win this game for us.
Okay, I just wanted to get
that.
I just wanted to get that on video. So what, worst comes to worst, and then.
And we get into the game. oh God, Rafa.
You know what? I appreciate you pouring your heart out for your lone EU
My heart
team.
is pumping right now. As
Oh,
yeah, that's
jump
that's
scare.
exactly what happened.
Boom.
Bagels nearly getting caught in the beginning already. So exactly the same draft for Sengoku, right? This is exactly, they're sticking to their guns, and now it's Team Queso, coming up with that Vi again. It didn't work in their first series, but I feel like it's gonna work again, and then, Methanaut on that Thresh gun. So, Methanaut can play the Thresh. He definitely can. But can he also pull it off while he's 1-0 down against Sengoku Gaming, right? That's the real question that we're asking right here.
Huge pressure and huge expectations, but if you have the confidence, maybe it can happen. But it's already Sengoku striking with Exhaust and Ignite, forcing Methanaut out of lane.
Team Queso is already already losing their lanes. Slowly but steadily. But now it's Acolyte on the Darius. And if there was one famous play that everyone remembers from Acolyte, was that 1 versus 2 outplay on the Darius.
Yeah.
This guy is a beast on Darius.
That was one of the filthiest Darius plays I saw from that tournament. And unfortunately for LATAM, who Ebro was the team that had to go up against that.
Yeah. But now the question is he going to be able to pull it off against Sengoku as well? I want to see more aggression. Team Queso is giving more aggression now. This is what I want to see. Push him under the turret and just straight up kill him. Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Boom!
Go!
Go! Go! Go!
Go!
Go!
Go!
Go!
Go! Kill him!
Guys, his head is in shambles right now. He's
Why did they not go? That was it. That was it. They could have killed him right then and there. He already used his hook shot. They could have killed him, but Team Queso is just not going for it yet again.
okay, well maybe there's a collapse on the Rush who's being very greedy, trying to take the blue buff, but it's only Joey who can defend. Exhaust comes out, it just slows out Juan. Methanaut looking for the death sentence flash, does not connect.
That was a close one. If he was able to get that one, that would have been a free kill for Team Queso right there. But yet again, Team Queso is just not making the plays happen right now. Sengoku, yet again, they're gonna skill into that late game. If you don't do anything into that composition of Sengoku, the Camille gets to the late game, the Kazakh... I shouldn't have to explain. We saw what happened last game, Rafa.
Dude, Rush is a beast, man. What can we say? I mean, this guy is an absolute Giga Chad on the Kazakhs.
Oh, that was a good cancel though by Methanaut.
Yeah, play, but can it stop the damage coming in from Juan? Making, oh, death sentence. But Joey and Methanaut are both insanely low, and Methanaut doesn't have flash. Juan trying to punish it, just auto attack after auto attack, even on the Ziggs. It is first blood, but Team Queso get the chance to answer back, and the flash from Uki cannot stop Andres with the unstoppable ultimate.
And he survives with his second ability as well. This is exactly what Andres needs to do in this game. This means Wave gets pushed under the turret, Joey gets a kill, Andres gets a kill. It gets Team Queso ahead. Although I wouldn't still say it's not enough, but here we see the fight happen again. Beautifully played by Methanaut to cancel out that engage by Uki, but then Juan dashing out that damage on Methanaut. He was 3 levels ahead of Methanaut right there. Great dodge by Methanaut, by the way. Be able to buy just enough time so Joey can get that backup kill as well. And then Andres said he has none of it. He just uses his flash, uses his ultimate.
Enough!
Enough! He just wants to get that kill, right?
I think Andres heard you all the way from the caster booth. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Hells wants me to kill someone. I got you.
Yeah,
Boom.
he got me. He should have done that against Kaizo, but it's okay, right? You can fill once, you can fill twice, as long as you do it consistently afterwards. So I want to see him do it a bit more often. He did pick up that Vi, and now he has to go for it again, right? Right? But no, Sengoku doesn't actually allow it, Rafa. It seems like Sengoku is on this side of the map this time. They're not going to make the mistake again of leaving Kai alone, and because if Kai gets snowballed, it's going to be Acolyte on the Darius who's super head, and you don't want that to happen.
A fed Darius can mean a world of trouble for the lone Japanese representative. Sengoku playing not as a clean early game as they were wanting to take some limits here, which I'm definitely a fan of, because Sengoku, they already have a game barrier, and I want to see them push their limits, because if they move past Team Queso, it is a rematch against RRQ.
Yeah, and that was a rough one against RQ. Here we go again. Team Queso, make the plays happen. Go for the ganks. Get those kills under the turret, right? Like, make the plays happen during the objectives as well. Joey, go back, pick up your package, and this time, third time's a charm, go for the fight.
Team Queso with that package ready and available. Both objectives spawning in the next 5 seconds. It's a mountain dragon, so it's not one that Team Queso would want to utmost prioritize.
So, it honestly doesn't even matter that it's an Mountain Dragon. It's not that much of a priority. They want to fight. That's what it's really all about for Team Queso right now. This is what they did not do last game. Fight. Go for an objective. Do not shake hands. Push your advantage against Sengoku game. And you have the Jace, you have the Corki package. Just fight, make it happen. There you go. They start the Rift Herald, and now do not allow Rush to steal it.
Sengoku is now forced to answer and come into the team. Mega
There you go.
Get some burst. Andres and package right on top of Rush. And that is the follow-up that Team Queso are able to get with this combo.
Bam! Why did you not do this game 1? This is it, Rafa.
While the chaos continues to follow up, Sengoku are trying to combat back. Able to trade at least one on Andres and Joey, but Team Queso answering back. Dunks are coming in from Acolyte, forcing the remaining members of Sengoku.
It's so simple. This is the formula Team Queso had to follow in the first game. They're doing it now, which is good to see. They improved from game 1. They took that Rift out, but yet they used it, and yet again they did not take that mid lane turret. Now, I don't like the fact that they just used those Rift Heralds to not take mid lane turrets. It's an important objective. It should give you a free turret. We've seen so many different teams abuse the Rift Herald, get themselves an advantage, and as you look into this replay, you can see it, right? Like, Sengoku cannot do anything. If they try to do anything, Joey Skaggs is gonna follow up with his package. And when this happens, you do not win the fight anymore. Perfectly played by Team Queso right here, and exactly, this is it.
Even for Sengoku, off of the back of a Game 1 dominant victory where Rush was able to outplay a lot of things. It's hard to outplay point and click abilities, especially when Andres is the one piloting it.
Definitely. Team Queso, you know, Sengoku had no chance to win that, essentially. Like, you just can't win that. And even Methanot hitting that hook shot as well. And now you can see Team Queso is trying to push their lead. This is what they need to do. Take out that vision, potentially start off the Dragon, but just fight. Make those fights happen. Have the Jace split push. Right now they're having Acolyte split push. I would have loved to see Jace split push because Vegos on the Jace is 2-0 up. Acolyte is fighting Kai, however, not much happening, but Sengoku is just giving away the Dragon, it seems.
Okay, well, Sengoku giving up the Dragon, putting pressure on Acolyte as a response instead. But Joey is here for reinforcements, making sure that Acolyte is not in danger of going down. It is a turret traded.
And then it's Vegos as well on the bot lane, trading a turret. This is a different... This is all... Ooh, Vegos is fighting Hawk.
He's got help. Methanot is here. Ignite is ticking down on the Hawk.
That should be a kill,
Using
right?
Shadow Clones. Oh, Flash from Vejos doesn't land the Shock Blast. Hawk should eventually go down. And Team Queso, another one on the board.
There you go, Team Queso. This is what you have to do. But even though Team Queso seems to be winning very hard, even though Team Queso got 2 objectives, Rafa, if we actually look at the gold lead, what, that's like 400 gold? That's just not a big gold lead. Sengoku has done an amazing job to keep up with Team Queso. And if we actually look at Rush, somehow, some way, sitting on 0-1-0, no kills, no assists, 1,200 gold ahead of Andres, who has 1 kill and 3 assists.
It's the priority of Rush versus Andres this game. Rush needs to farm up and scale, and when you have the involved claws, you basically rip through single target camps like it's butter. And for Andres, once he gets his ultimate, he doesn't want to prioritize farming as much. He needs to prioritize getting kills down. He needs to accelerate Team Queso.
And he's done that pretty well this game. Here he goes again, right? Against Hawk on that Zed. You cannot dodge out that Vi ultimate. It doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter how you do it. The only way to dodge out the Vi ultimate is through Stasis Enchant.
Good patience from Andres. Doesn't immediately commit the ulti, waiting out the Uki's ultimate there.
Definitely, because if he did, then Uki's ultimate would have been very big. Then Andres would have been caught under the turret. So very, very well played. Very well seen by Andres, but he still keeps going for it. But he has to keep this pressure up. You know, it's not really paying off as much as Team Queso would have loved it, but at least they're trying this time. That's what I like to see. And now they have to go for Hawk. Ooh, that was a close one, Rafa.
Timing window just a little too short. Sengoku are going to cede pressure away from this tower, but there's no minion wave for Team Queso to capitalize on. They're rotating forces to the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, definitely. Sengoku Gaming putting Kai on that split pushing duty as well. And it's this time Rush on the opposite side. He's trying to look for those ganks as well. And Sengoku is also following it up.
Team Queso need to survive. The rest of Sengoku, they're the ones that want to find a counter response. Methanot almost goes down. Rush able to get out alive. Kai with a 3-man squad takes out Acolyte.
Sengoku Gaming, you know, it doesn't matter they're behind. It doesn't matter they have a late game composition. They'll make it happen anyways. The 3-man dive got the kill, but it's Andres.
Whoa! I didn't know you could do that as Ziggs. I don't know if it's going to matter. Andres has got a lot of damage under the tower, though. He punches his way through.
And that's going to be another Rift Herald, too. It's Kai sitting on the bottom side of the map, but Kai is not going to give this Rift Herald for free. It seems like he's rotating. Joey does not have the package this time. So this is a fight that Sengoku could take.
Sengoku, this is a moment where big cooldowns are off the table for Team Queso. They can't engage as easily. 2,000 HP. Uki trying to zone him away. Good taunt. Even though it doesn't land, it buys enough space for Rush to get the Rift Herald. Team Queso take the trade of Uki for the kill.
And Sengoku took that Rift Herald, which is going to be such an important objective for them. It's going to be able to crack open the mid lane for Sengoku, which I assume they're going to do with the Rift Herald. And yet again, Sengoku is all good with this. They want to scale into the late game and just win from 1, dealing insane damage on that Ziggs. And it seems like 1 is taking the same approach on the Ziggs, which is going for the Rabadon's death cap. I love how Sengoku is doing this. They're not just taking that late game approach of just taking our Archangel staff, playing it passive. No, they're putting their feet on gas. They're going ham as well on Team Queso. They're not letting Team Queso get to that late game, even though Team Queso doesn't really have a late game composition.
Yeah, the death cap gives an immediate spike as soon as it's completed. And now Sengoku are looking for an immediate spike of their own, capitalizing on the Methanot, but they can't take him down. Not enough damage for the side of Sengoku, and it's the reinforcements, the re-engagement. Andres and Vejos from over the wall. Joey pelting in rockets one after another. Hero's entrance looking for the knockup of Eso Stejos, and flash over the wall, outplaying Sengoku. Team Queso Queso with a second chance in this series.
Triple kill for Joey Skag. That's a mid-lane turret for Team Queso. That is 4 kills. That is the map advantage. And Team Queso needs to get the most out of this right now. Huck is trying to stay alive and defend this turret, but that's not gonna happen. That's a mid-lane turret. That's a bot-lane turret. That's a massive advantage to Team Queso right now.
And just like that, that 400 gold lead that you were worried about, it is now a 4,000 gold swing for Team Queso. And if you're a Sengoku fan back at home, this is where, in our Coca-Cola pop-off, Team Queso finally showing signs of life.
So Kai went in on Metanaut with his ultimate, but unfortunately you're unable to kill a Thresh that's so tanky. And then over the wall comes Vagos, doing incredible damage, making sure the Camille dies. Very, very good ultimate, however, but it was just not enough. You can see Joey Skax in the backline right there as well on that Corki, doing massive damage, securing a triple kill and securing a win on that team fight.
And here we go again. Package was available. Rush has forced the stasis out, gets a leap out. He has flash. It looks like he's getting out of that one alive.
Oh, that's a lot of Ziggs damage, and when he finishes off that Rabadon's death cap, that's gonna hurt Team Queso a lot. We still have to put our eyes on that, because even though Sengoku is losing, they're starting the Dragon, but I don't think they can against Team Queso.
And Rush isn't here for Smite. They're just trying to lure Team Queso in. Hextech Ultimatum, looking for one pick already. Vejos in the middle of the cluster. Team Queso have to isolate one target. Acolyte was looking for the resets, but Rush is able to take him down. Trades his life for it, but Joey's the one that's putting out the damage on the crits with the rockets. Uki gets isolated once again. Kai looking for a way to escape. Team Queso, they're on the pursuit. And Andres, point and click, lockdown city. Team Queso with the prime gaming ace.
Team Queso running over Sengoku Gaming, cracking open the base right now. They have 15 seconds to try and get as many turrets as they can. It seems like they're gonna go for the number 2 turrets, and they're gonna get the Dragon. This is massive for Team Queso.
It is now a 9,000 gold lead out of nowhere, Hells. And Team Queso, you gotta take a look back at that replay to see how well they did.
Acolyte did such a good job. He did get caught out by the Kami, but there he had a 3-man hook, just buying as much time as he can for his team, getting that ultimate in on Rush as well. So even though Acolyte died, he did the job that he had to his attack, because when he died, 2 people were already dead from Sengoku Gaming. And yet again, Joey Skax in that backline doing a massive amount of damage.
And for Sengoku, before this fight, when it was the prior fight, only a 4,000 gold deficit, there were still ways that Sengoku could take the fight slower, be contestable in the game. When you're down this far behind, it is so difficult.
So this is the problem Sengoku has with their playstyle, right? Sure, they have a really good late-game playstyle. They executed it very, very well in their first game. But if you get pressured, like Team Queso did right here, right? If you get pressured during those objectives, if you do get ganked all the time, you're gonna have a rough time to scale into that late game. As Rush is gonna still try to take as much farm as he can. He's still playing the Kha'Zix, which is such a strong champion in the late game as well. And they're looking for a fight right here.
2v2, right on the Methonaut. Look for one reset. Uki's coming in with the hero's entrance as well. Reinforcements is there. Mega Inferno Bomb doesn't hit the mark because Vejos has already flashed away. Joey Skax now forcing them back with the rockets, but Sengoku got all that they needed.
Well, Sengoku got all that they needed, but if we look at the opposite side of the map, it's Andres and Acolyte applying the pressure. Sengoku, however, able to defend, able to get those all-important kills on Rush, and Rush is sitting on 11,500 gold right now, which is still not a lot. But if you actually look at the team gold, that's the third... Ooh, that was close. That's the third most gold in the game.
Now Juan forced to use both
And he
stasis.
just died.
Oh, whoa, Joey winning 1v1s against Kha'Zix on Corki.
Oh, that's not a good sign for Sengoku Gaming. Team Queso just killed the jungler, and Sengoku goes for the fight.
3-man taunt. Can Hawk and Juan follow up on the damage though? Mega Inferno Bomb goes wide. Everyone from Team Queso scatters just in time to dodge out on the damage.
Ooh. Team Queso was in a bad position right there. Sengoku Gaming caught Team Queso in such a good team fight, but then you have the stasis enchant, right? You have the stasis enchant. That's what saved Team Queso right there. Joey was able to get out of life right there. And if we look at the items right now, Joey is sitting on 3 items.
He's huge.
Vagos is sitting on 3.5 items. Acolyte and Andres are all of the people are sitting on 3 items. If you look at the opposite side, Sengoku, none of them have the 3 items. Every single player is only sitting on 2 items.
And with the Infernal Dragon on top of it, it is just adding additional stats for these damage carries for Team Queso as
But
well.
if you look at Team Queso's composition, they have the Jace. This is a champion that does not skill as well into the late game as that composition of Team Queso. Ooh, and Andres, oh, he's looking for aggression, but Team Queso has to keep pushing their win. They have to maintain this momentum, get those objectives, but Sengoku has to not allow them to do that, right? Because if Team Queso pushes it, you have to fight them with your competition who only has a few items up against Team Queso.
Sengoku need the isolation. They
Yeah,
need the
for
targeted
Kha'Zix.
ultis so that Rush can actually pop off and make use of the gold lead that he has.
So the way that Team Sengoku could potentially do this is to stun someone with the Gallia, right? Go in, taunt someone, get an isolated target, use your Camille ultimate and isolate someone and get a kill. Get that one kill and it's a 5 versus 4. But then the problem you have is Joey Skaggs on that Corki. He's been dashing out so much damage on that Corki. So let's see how Sengoku decides to do it. It actually seems like Rush is in the bot lane.
Andres, he has line of sight on the Hawk. Stasis cancels out the ultimate. Methanot looking for another death sentence, but Hawk dodges it out beautifully with the death mark. Mega Inferno Bomb forces Team Queso away.
And that's a Mega Inferno Bomb dealing a lot of damage. And Kai is split pushing the bot lane as well, and Sengoku's pushing the mid lane.
Okay, Sengoku recognizing that, hey, we can't fight them straight up in a 5-on-5, but if we can find ways to stall them out to give time for our split pushers to take out turrets, this is how we get back into the game. And now they're catching out Team Queso in rotation. Methanot caught out with the Hexagon ultimatum. Joey and Vejos are there to answer back. Andres, can he survive? And it is Kai that goes down in the end.
And Sengoku Gaming still taking the fight, and he goes for it again.
And he's got a Soul to Battery once more, looking for Hawk. Death Mark not available. Death Sense connects from Methanot. Death Mark pops, but it's only just to die to Joey. And now Team Queso, they have the forces, and they're looking at the Baron.
Team Queso needs to go for that Baron right now, but Rush is a scary jungler to start Baron off against, right? We constantly talk about how scary Andres is, but Rush is another guy. He is gonna steal the Baron from you. So Team Queso has to make sure they keep away Rush to secure that Baron. It's also the Elder Dragon, which is spawning in 20 seconds. Oh, could this potentially be where Team Queso goes back? And then Sengoku rushes down the Elder Dragon?
Yeah, they're gonna try to see how
15
much
seconds.
time. Yes, Team Queso, you gotta get in your resets right now.
Yeah.
Because Elder is spawning in 10.
Definitely, and it seems like they do have enough time to do that, and that's 4 items for Vegos and 4 items for Andres right now, Rafa. I don't see a way back for Sengoku right now, but we've said that multiple times, or that has been said about Sengoku multiple times, but they did still make the comeback.
Team Queso, the momentum is on their side. 10,000 gold separates them. 2 GAs give Andres and Vejos a second life in this most crucial fight. 8,000 HP already on the Dragon. Rest of Sengoku cannot get access. They have vision on it. Rush needs to be in line of sight. But Team Queso say, we just go for the fight. We have the package. We have the engage. And we are rewriting history. Last time it was a 0-2. But this time we are taking a game off of Sengoku.
And Team Queso is just gonna finish off the game right now, equalizing the series. And the hope is not over for EU yet, Rafa.
Team Queso even up the series. They go to match point against Sengoku in the elimination round.
Oh, my body's getting ready for the 3rd match right now. This is gonna be a banger, Rafa. Is Team Queso gonna be able to keep up this momentum? Or is Sengoku Gaming gonna be able to make it up in the 3rd game and win the game? Huh.
Sengoku now pushed to the brink. They're the ones on the back foot. Team Queso feel the relief of that momentum, rewarding them this time around when they play with confidence, when they make the early plays. It is rewarded, and now we are here, Hells.
This is the first win for Team Queso during the Wild Rift Icons. They were finally able to do it. At least even if they go home, they're not gonna go home without anything. They just won a game against Sengoku Gaming, who is the best team in Japan. So that is a great achievement to make.
And it's overcoming a mental block as well.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
Back in Horizon Cup, 2-0'd by Sengoku. Now Team Queso have the confidence. They know that, hey, we beat this team, we can beat them again. But I imagine, like other teams who took losses in surprising fashion, they got back into the draft room with the coach. The coach said, all right, guys, chop, chop, chop. This is what we're changing, we're adapting, and we're going into game 3, and it just unlocks even a higher form than what we saw with the
And
team.
the question is Sengoku going to be able to do it? Because it feels like Sengoku is the stronger team than Team Queso. It's just Team Queso executed their draft very, very well this time. Sengoku perhaps underestimated Team Queso by picking the same composition.
It was really a salty rematch from Sengoku. Well, not salty, but just a run back. They had the same composition from top to bottom.
So Sengoku allowed Team Queso to counter out the draft, right? You can't really do that when you're up against a team with such a good coach.
Well, Sengoku now know that they can't run the same composition twice in a row. So, Kangas, Riku, and TJ, do you believe?
It
The monologue
starts
works.
with success.
Yeah!
It was all you, Els. We'll give you credit for that one. The speech rousing the team of Team Queso. And, I mean, they said it. They adapted. They changed the style. The Vi pick in particular was something completely different that I did not expect.
Yeah, I love this so much because it answered the problem from before where they wanted to engage, but they had no engage. But this time, they had so much engage. They got the Thresh, they've got the Vi, they've got the Apprehend from the Darius. Everything just worked so well in early game fights.
Yeah.
TJ looks, his brow is furrowed, his look is despondent. He's making eye contact with the floor.
Well, the floor has better team fights
Oh!
than Sengoku that game. Team Queso played their composition very well. As Hell's Devil said, they had a series of engages and they would roll them over each other.
Yep.
I do not think that is a good composition. I said that in draft, I will stick by it. I do not think that should have beat what Sengoku had on the board, but through a combination of the aggression we saw from Team Queso and Sengoku just repeatedly messing up their own team fights, it worked out for them. The big flag for me from Sengoku is, we were talking about on the desk, Riku, all of their engage kept going on to Acolyte,
Yeah.
who's the team's only tank.
As we can see
As we
here.
say it. I mean, I guess that
here.
one in particular was instead Methanoidy, but yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I'm really looking at you to like target any of the squishy characters instead of the one tanky character. If you're the Zed, that's what's going on in my head. And then the other thing I really wanted to see from Sengoku was any kind of coordinated engage. We kept seeing their lightweight assassin characters go in one by one, which is very easy to deal with because when you have a single Zed inside your team comp, you all turn on them, you burn them down. Instead, you want to do what Chinese teams do, what Korean teams do when they run these full assassin rosters, which is everyone engages simultaneously.
Yeah. I want to, in relation to that, I want to see in the next game how Sengoku can prioritize and fix the target prioritization, because when they go in, it feels like they're going through different targets, and this composition is more about that burst with their double assassin. So if they don't funnel everything onto one target, people are going to live. And one thing to note is that, you know, Sengoku as a composition, they're relying heavily on hack and rush, and the composition that Team Queso had, all of these had single target answers. We know the problem is rush. We're going to eliminate him right off the bat.
It was a little easier to, well, I don't even know if I want to say it. I was about to say easier to execute, but I don't even agree because the Camille ult is point and click. You just have to click it on the right person.
That's
Well,
true.
I fundamentally, Team Queso drafted a composition that gave them, as we said in the draft, a ton of mechanical outplay options, right? They drafted a composition where every single lane can win 1v1s. And I said at the time, there's no way you get 1v1s in a game like this. And then they spent the entire game getting 1v1s, which...
The fights were just 5 different 1v1s going on.
Which
This is
props to
scary.
Team Queso, they did create that chaos and they did do proactive things to make those fights messier, but also Sengoku were very much opting into that.
Woo.
That's got to be the steepest cliff I've seen in a gold graph so
You
far.
can see the sun low in the sky.
Yeah. I see the mountain. I see it.
It's a cliff.
It's a cliff. Okay, it's a cliff.
The valley right there.
Sengoku just did not, I think, respect Team Queso, and they did not bring their A game to that game.
Yeah, and now they're put in a position where they had the lead in the series, and now this is the crazy third game where they gotta fight for survival in this tournament. They gotta survive. That means we're gonna see crazy picks. That's what I'm predicting in the next game.
I want to point something out. You see Hawk has really high damage numbers, and
Yeah.
you're like, whoa, dude, he must have been crazy that game. All of that damage was on to Darius.
Yeah.
Over and over over and over
He healed it
again.
right back.
And Acolyte's just like, okay, I guess I got ulted. And he didn't even back up in the team fight. Sometimes you get ulted as a tank and you're like, I'm gonna take a step back till my HP resets. He would just keep going, because why not?
Yeah, and going back to the draft, again, this is a heavy melee comp from the side of Sengoku. Anybody goes near, he's going to spin around, regain HP, and the fact that everyone, just as you said, low health targets, he can get the resets down. And again, it's just a very good anti-melee composition.
Reminder that this is the first win for Team Queso
Yeah.
against Sengoku.
True.
So big
Their
moment
first
for
win at
Europe.
Icons.
Their first win at Icons for Team Queso as well. And this could be a series win if they can pull off the
Yeah.
reverse sweep. The dream is alive. All that energy that the EU fans were sending. I think Team Queso are feeling it right now.
It's such huge pressure too on the other side. Like Sengoku, you know, they don't have Unsold Stuff Gaming with them here at the group stages anymore. They're also the same place as Team Queso as being that sole survivor representing their region.
The first seed from both of these regions.
Yeah.
One of them has to go home after this game. And, I mean, on top of the pressure, Sengoku, they have the historical context of beating Europe. They
That
also
too.
had 3 people predict them on this deck. So maybe a little bit of pressure on us too, TJ.
That's the most pressure is
Yes.
when you know that Steve Kangas predicted you to win. You cannot let him down.
I feel like I have a negative prediction rate so far.
Uh-oh.
This Icons.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Ruh-roh.
Maybe my pressure's too much.
Briefly headed into this game, I do just want to flag, I want Sengoku to have an easier to execute teamfight composition. I think the idea behind this composition was a little bit more macro play. We didn't see them do that very well. So I want them an easier to execute teamfight composition. Team Queso, no notes, I guess. Keep playing what you're comfortable with and keep finding those 1v1s if you can force it.
Honestly, if Sengoku Gaming wants the early game fights, don't draft a 1-3-1 because you cannot fight Team Queso's early game like what we saw in game number 2. Fight something, get fire with fire.
Fire with fire!
Fire.
Fire!
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 Fire takes a long time to
That's
smolder.
true.
You know, if anybody's tried to light a fire at a campsite before, it
It's
takes a bit.
tough.
Takes a bit.
You rub your hands together
Yep,
with a stick in the middle. And
Exactly.
Don't you do it with a rock too?
that's flint. You're thinking of flint and
Oh.
steel, which is also a way to start a fire.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes,
It's a
exactly.
different way to
These
start
are
a
all
fire.
valid ways.
And there are many different ways Sengoku could come back into this series.
Team Queso's way is the old propane. They just torch the. That's their style right now.
Yeah.
Just cause chaos on the rift. Whereas we think of Sengoku, we think of this region. They play a much slower game. So if they let themselves scale to that point, if they draft to scale to that point, that's where we expect Sengoku to pivot towards in this crucial game 3. But with that said, that's our thoughts. Let's hear it from the casters themselves because our third and deciding game is about to be underway. Rafa, Hell's Devils on the call.
Thank you so much, Kangas, and the series has already delivered. I don't even care what happens in Game 3. We're getting a 2-1, no 2-0, and that means that both of these teams, Sengoku and Team Queso, will be fighting with everything they have left.
This is it. This is the last game. We're gonna see all of the secrets, all of the crazy things, everything that each team has prepared, Rafa. I can see you're excited right there.
Dude, the draft beat got me going crazy right now, too.
So, let's talk about the draft, Rafa. Enough dancing, let's focus on the draft. That's a Shan ban, which is a great ban for Sengoku Gaming, right? Like, that's the one thing Acolyte absolutely demolishes anyone on. It seems to be a similar draft yet again, where the Senna gets banned out, the Lee Sin gets banned out. I like how Team Queso bans out the Lee Sin, because that's the one champion, like, Rush is one of the best Lee Sins I've seen, Rafa. He's one of the best Lee Sins. So,
Yeah,
banning out that
100%.
Lee Sin allows you to play the early game, allows you to survive till the late game, and allows you to make those crazy early game plays that Team Queso has to make against Sengoku.
The Echo ban as well, even though we're not going to see it this series. That just says to me that, like, Sengoku have been absolutely killing
Yeah.
it with Echo and Scrim. So
Definitely. And, you know, that's the one thing that Team Queso did struggle with because, you know, playing those scrims, you're going to be playing against those Chinese teams. It gives you a reality check, right? Oh, we should talk about that.
Yeah.
That's a Jace for Sengoku Gaming. They do not want to be giving that Jace to Team Queso again.
and prioritizing the Jace
Camille.
over the Camille.
Yeah,
This
Camille's open.
Yeah.
That's interesting to see. So the question is Team Queso going to pick that Camille? Because I haven't really seen Acolyte a lot on the Camille, but they do pick it.
Boom.
That could be a jungle Camille. That could be a barrel lane Camille. That could be, yeah, that Camille could be flexed in Team Queso's composition right now.
Do you think it could be a mid lane Camille?
No, it cannot be a mid lane Camille, Rafa.
Keeping you on your toes. Team Queso Last time around, they prioritized Jace and I believe it was Corki as well.
And they got the Corki
and
again.
the Corki was so pivotal for Joey in those fights as well.
And I feel like as Sengoku Gaming, you are not allowed to give away the Corki to Team Queso. You're not supposed to give away that power pick, that comfort pick to Joey. Joey like pretty much plays Corki whenever it's available.
And for Team Queso, I think the most important thing about the combo that has been already locked down, something that allowed them to play so proactively in the early game, is because the Vi Ultimate, Assault and Battery, gives you a point-and-click lockdown. Camille is the 2.0 version of that.
She also has that point-and-click ultimate, right? To catch someone, to very easily get the kill. And the question is this going to be a Kha'Zix again for Sengoku? I don't think so. Another thing that Rush really loves to play is the Graves. And there is a Jax. That is a late-game scaling champion for Sengoku Gaming. Yet again, sticking to their guns. But the question is, can they survive that early game with the Jax in the jungle?
One of the things about a Jax that eclipses that of a Kha'Zix is your ability to take out turrets.
Oh, yeah. Jax is one of the fastest turret pushers in the game. He also takes objectives very, very fast, and that's another Methanaut Thresh. So it seems like Team Queso has built a bit more confidence. They're putting Methanaut on those high skill, high reward champions because he pulled it off last game. So Sengoku Gaming, what is your answer to this? You know, Team Queso made it work last game, and now it feels like Team Queso has an even stronger composition than the last game because Team Queso did pick up the Camille this time, which sure is not as strong in the early game, but she scales so onto the late game. They have such a good start of the fight. So Sengoku Gaming has to be able to deny those engages. Is it going to be with the Alistar? Is it going to be with the Gragas? Those are the types of champions that Sengoku needs to be looking at.
Well, Team Queso are starting to take away those options right now. Rakan has already bitten the ban table. Another one could be either those Gragas or Alistar support champions that you already mentioned. Looking at Sengoku's side, what is their options? Eliminating the Riven away from Team Queso, suspecting that Andres could have looked.
Exactly. Sengoku banning away that Riven is such a smart ban because Andres historically plays so much Riven and hard carries games on that Riven. The thing is though, Andres hard carries game on anything, but Riven is just such a rough champion to deal with, especially when you're playing the Jax, because Jax's third ability doesn't really work against Riven's first ability, and it's so hard to lock down a Riven when you're playing Jax because she's so mobile. And there we see it's actually Team Queso indeed banning away the Alistar that we were talking about.
One last champion, the Olaf.
And again, Andres ban. You can see it, so much respect on this player from Sengoku Gaming. Banning away that Olaf. The Gragas is still open, however. It's one of the best disengaging champions, which probably has to be picked in this draft because it's also a good pick for Team Queso. Gragas works so well into the Ziggs. You can engage into him so easily. And like, again, what I'm saying is basically pick Gragas.
Hells is like, Team Queso, please pick Gragas.
Or Sengoku Gaming, but Team Queso sticks to their guns. Yet again,
I gotta
they
sit down
bring
for this.
out the Vi. They do it again.
Whoa, that's... So Team Queso are doubling down on the single target lockdown, but it is a Darius response for Sengoku.
And the question is that a denial from Arcalite? The answer is no, because it's a Camille. You know, Camille's not going in the mid, so it actually seems like this is not denied. This is Kai being confident in his own Darius. There's a difference between denying champions from the enemies and actually picking a champion because you want it. So Sengoku Gaming picked that Darius because Kai wants to play it. And that's a set. Ooh. You know what I'm gonna say, it's the Veigar. This is a Veigar draft, yet again. Team Queso, they don't play it, but in this draft right here, Veigar is perfect. You're up against the Jax, you're up against the Darius, you're up against the Jace, the Set. These are all melee champions. Again, Veigar is perfect here, but it's probably not gonna happen for Team Queso.
What about Singed?
Singed is also incredibly powerful. Indeed, Singed has still not been picked. That is probably gonna get picked by Team Queso. Veigar's on that Singed. Exactly, you got it.
Boom!
That's it. That's what it is.
Team Queso, they have so many single target crowd control pick tools, and that is the name of the game for Team Queso.
And then they have the Singed as well for those later game team fights. If they're unable to pick up someone, they have Singed. But if you look at the side of Sengoku Gaming, they have that Darius with the reset. They have the Jax who skills into the late game and then won. Yet again, his third game on Ziggs. He showed us what he can do in the first game. In the second game, it was not as good, but he still showed us that he can do a lot of damage. So the question is, can he show us what he can do in the third game as well?
He was still consistently a damage threat, yes. It's just the problem was that the rest of the team was not doing so hot. But Sengoku now, we had questions about how much of the early game would Sengoku index in to be able to combat against Team Queso. Instead, they picked for a more optimized late game scenario in this Jax, taking away the Jace and the Darius.
I feel this is going to be a very intense game, whether it is in the early game, in the late game. Like, it's either going to be Team Queso trying to push their advantage in the early game, or both teams playing it safe, getting to that late game, both having great late game compositions and just fighting each other. 15-minute mark, 20-minute mark, Elders. Like, this is going to be an intense game, Rafa.
And Sengoku, I have no idea if this draft is what exactly they wanted. Sengoku are able to get some comfort picks, at least in the Jax, but it definitely seems like the Jace was more of a takeaway.
Yeah.
It is up to Hawk and Rush to live up to their legacy and see if they can keep the WJC, Sengoku Gaming, the lone representative of Japan, alive at Icons.
Definitely, and another lone representative is going to be Team Queso as well for Europe, of course. And Vegas already got caught out, but they're using his barrier, and whew, that was a bit of aggression from Sengoku Gaming in the early game, Rafa.
They were waiting for it. They were trying to see if they could look
Yet
for
again.
a cheeky death sentence or flay, get some early damage onto the laning.
Ooh, they're still looking for it. Methanaut is trying to look for that hook, did not get it, and Hawk dominating the lane against Vegas right now. You know, Vegas used his barrier already, so Hawk is on the upper hand.
And it seemed like Vejos didn't take any damage, but it was because as soon as he hit level 2, he's like, oh god, level 2 all in from Jace. I gotta shield that.
Yeah, and it's Kai against Acolyte again. Darius against Camille, but from the opposite side. How good is Acolyte's Camille gonna be? How good is Kai's Darius gonna be? Let's see who wins this game again, because in game 1, Kai absolutely dominated his lane, but in game 2, it was Acolyte, Rafa.
Acolyte showed up huge when he needed to for Europe. And on this Camille, you have ways to assist Andres for lockdown Prime City against Sengoku Gaming. Already looking at Hawk, backs off.
And you only have one stasis enchant, right? Like on the side of Sengoku Gaming, you can either block the Vi ultimate or you can block the Camille ultimate. You cannot block anything else. Team Queso has such a powerful engage, but after the core kit package gets used, after the Singe went in, after everything got used, that's when Team Queso doesn't really have anything else, and that's when Sengoku Gaming wins those team fights, right? If you look at that composition, they have the Darius. He ramps up in those team fights. They have the Jax. He ramps up as well. And they have the Ziggs. These are all champions that win in those longer-term team fights.
And look at Team Queso right now, knowing that because of the late game scaling advantage that Sengoku will have, they're pushing the tempo. They've already rotated Methanaut over to the top side of the map to guarantee the crab. They can't go for an invade because Uki is also seen missing, so they don't go for further aggression. But the fact that they're pulling Sengoku's resources across the map knows and shows that Sengoku is at least reacting and adapting.
Definitely. We're 2.5 minutes into the game, and Sengoku Gaming reacted perfectly to this early game. Sengoku Gaming did not allow Team Queso to get any gank early on in this game with that Vi. And when you have that late game power composition, that's a good thing to have. And Hawk as well, you know, playing that Jace, showing that, no, we did not just take away the Jace. I can also just play it.
Hawk already maintaining a dominant laning phase, saw a 300 gold lead, but he's got to do a little bit more for Sengoku's hopes to translate that advantage.
Yeah, definitely. And Rush is trying to look for something here, you know, trying to look for a gank. He doesn't really have to. He's playing the Jax, and if he looks for a gank, I'm expecting either Hawk or Uki to roam around with it. I'm seeing a bit of a lack of rotation from both supports, really. Like, Methanaut and Uki are constantly staying in the bot lane, but you're playing with a Ziggs, you're playing with a Corki. These are two champions that can hold their ground in lane, and that is a Ziggs ultimate, Rafa?
They're scared. Juan suspecting that Andres was on the bottom side of the map, which... Good intuition. He was. And they're looking for the dive. He was level 5. That could have been a kill opportunity on the one.
He's going to have his ultimate back for the next objective, however, which I know he thought about as well. You know, he just wanted to push that wave. He didn't want to allow Andres to use his ultimate under that turret.
Yep.
Because just when a minion hits that aggro, it's pretty much over for him, right?
You got to make sure that you can get the full damage potential of the tower hitting against your opponent so that you don't go down, or at least are able to trade 1-for-1. And it's too risky for Team Queso to take. We are approaching 4 minutes health, which means turret resistances are about to fall. Objectives will be coming in the next minute.
And there is Methanaut. This is what Team Queso has to do, but this is also what Sengoku has to do. It seems like Team Queso is going to be a bit early. Kai's face! Oh!
Death sentence, but he's still going for it. Andres at least pushing Kai away from the tower. Sengoku, what can they do to respond? This turret is falling fast, right on the money at 4 minutes. They're just burning down the tower, and Kai is doing everything that he can to withstand, but it is first brick over Team Queso.
That should have been a kill for Team Queso as well. Kai dodging out that hook shot from Methanaut. Team Queso did get the first turret, and now Joey is going to try to defend this turret, but Sengoku is going to be pushing this as well.
And for Team Queso, whoa, Joey is committing the package onto this, and it's a flash from Rush that ensures that they get the kill on a Joey.
And that's the package gone as well from Joey, which is a massive thing for Sengoku Gaming. Because even though they're unable to get the turret, this means they're not going to have to deal with that Corki package anymore. So those objective fights are going to be much better for Sengoku Gaming, as they have that Jace, they have the tanky frontline, and now they don't have to deal with the package anymore.
It's 1-item power spikes for a majority of the members on the field, but a relief for Sengoku. As you already pointed out, no package means that objectives are easier to contest.
Oh yeah, because that's the one thing about Corki, right? Like, he has those packages. Corki is a late game champion. He's not strong in the early game, but only because of the package, he's such a formidable threat during those objectives. But now that Team Queso does not have the package, even though Sengoku has the later game composition, they could actually take a fight against Queso right now.
And Team Queso, because they already got the gold from the first brick on the top side of the map, they're content with taking another Rift Herald. They can snowball this, take out more towers, do the same thing that Sengoku did to them in Game 1, leave them no ground to stand on.
So Sengoku is actually trading objectives, which is fine for them, you know, even though there is no package. Juan doing a massive amount of damage to Methanaut before the fight even starts. But that's not the dragon done yet.
Alvejo stepping up. Set with the facebreaker. Uki, oh my goodness! Joey's gone! That's huge for Sengoku. Can they follow up even more? It's Acolyte with the Hextech Ultimatum locking down Rush, but he, in the 1v2, is able to survive long enough to trade back before he falls to Acolyte.
And Joey just got caught off guard. He got caught by the set ultimate and just died before the fight had even started. Beautiful catch by Sengoku Gaming right there, but this is a bit of a fail from Team Queso as well. You got the Rift Herald already. You don't have to go for the Dragon 2, because as we look into this replay, Juan had already done so much damage to Methanaut prior to this fight, essentially setting his team up for success. Rush is taking the Dragon, and right here, you can't win the fight anymore. You even missed the thresh hook, and then Sengoku Gaming just finished it off. They caught Joey, and when Joey is dead, team fight is over.
Great patience from Uki on the set is there. Just waiting, biding his time, and the fact that Joey stepped up gave him an easy access to punish. As we are in a pause at the moment, just waiting to see what is what's happening.
It's a good boss time for both teams, right? They can breathe a little bit, because this is an intense game right now. Both teams just took an objective.
Even the lights are dim.
Oh yeah, like you can see, both teams have their hands on the back of their heads. They're, they're stressing out right now, because this is the game that could either eliminate them or that could get them closer to the knockout stage.
So much on the line here, so much stakes to be had for both teams, and the implications, the kind of the post results of what it would mean for both Sengoku and Team Queso. Obviously for Sengoku to continue proving that they are one of the strongest teams, one of the strongest returning teams from Horizon Cup, making a return here at Icons. But for Team Queso, it's not just about being Europe's lone representative. It's about getting the rematch against Sengoku, who knocked him out of Horizon Cup last time.
And like, all the hope of each region is on these teams, right? Like, it's all of Japan's hope on Sengoku Gaming, all of Europe's hope on Team Queso. All of the hope is in this one game of Wild Rift. All the bragging rights, all the memes, whoever wins is going to be able to meme the region for an entire year, Rafa.
Or until the next international competition, hoping that it comes sooner than later, because this has been such a blast. Just being able to see the best teams from all over the world as we get a close-up there.
Yeah, Sengoku's having a lot of fun during this match, as you can see, right? They're stressed out, but they can still have a lot of fun.
At least a moment to breathe, not undeterred. I think he was trying to get some inspiration from what we saw from Marky and RRQ. I know RRQ was having a lot of fun with the movable cameras and the player cams. See if Juan is gonna do something similar here.
Yeah, I want to see some cool show from him as well, right? Give us like a tech boss show. Move the camera a little bit. Oh, he's big.
Dude, his eyes are blinking so fast.
His eyes are blinking so fast. This is the mastermind behind the mid lane. This is Ark. This is the guy that's carrying their games on the mid lane, picking the Zeds, picking the Jace now, and they're focused, man. They seem so focused.
They are so dialed in, man.
I want to see a look at Team Queso as well. How are they looking during this game? So, well, during the stack pause, they're trying to think about how they could win this game, what they need to do. Sengoku just won a very important thing, but he's proud. It's a proud Sengoku member.
show that pride, baby.
Yeah. show that pride. You know, you gotta be proud of your organization. They're proud to be Japanese representatives, and it seems like we're back into the game, Rafa.
All right. For Team Queso and Sengoku, in the aftermath of that fight, the Dragon did go over the way of Sengoku, which does mean that Team Queso, not necessarily everything that they wanted, but being able to get kills back and forth. Remember what the strategy and the game plan was for Game 2. It is all about snowballing. It is about accelerating the pace of the game before Sengoku come online with Rush in particular as the hype carry.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's Hawk also showing how to play Jace in the early game. He's got 1 kill already, sitting on a hole breaker as well. And when you look at Team Queso, they don't have any hole breakers. I'm expecting Acolyte to counter it out by getting a hole breaker himself, because when you're up against the Jace with that hole breaker, that's an unkillable Jace, Rafa.
We already saw a glimpse of that from
Oh, yeah.
Dejos, and now Hawk is going to show us how it's really done in Game 3, or at least try his best. The other thing for Rush, though, I love that in a lot of the adaptations for these hyper-scaling junglers, instead of the Trinity Force, going for the Divine Sunder, you get a little bit more health, and you get the pseudo-sustain with the passive.
And it's really good against those tanky champions of Team Queso as well. Like you're up against the Camille, up against the Vi, up against the Singed, and the Thresh. These are champions you don't want to be building a Trinity Force up against, right? Like, even though you're in hyper carry, Divine Sunder is perhaps even going to deal more damage for you, and it's of course going to make you super tanky.
Yeah, it just gets even more difficult for Team Queso to lock you down. And considering that there is a lot of point-and-click single-target abilities on the side of Team Queso, you need that durability to survive the onslaught.
And when you add that Jax ultimate to it, when you add that Jax third ability to it, that's where it gets scary for Team Queso, right? If Rush is able to time that perfectly during those team fights, he's going to be so hard to kill, because on the side of Team Queso, the only one that's going to be able to chunk him down regardless is going to be that Camille with the true damage that she gets in the late game. So it's going to be up to Acolyte as well to make sure he dashes out the damage on Rush, because if he doesn't, then it's going to be hard to get a kill on them.
Acolyte and Andres, the two returning members of Team Queso from the Team Queso squad that was at Horizon Cup. It's their time to step up and to make the EU miracle happen. But for Sengoku, Hawk and Rush as well.
Oh. Team Queso is trying to look for something, unknowingly that there is vision on them, but now they realize...
Hawk getting locked down. Assault and Battery finds him in the flip, and the flip continues delivering. Team Queso getting a huge pick, but in the mid lane, they're continuing to go for more in response.
But can they get the turret? They do get the turret, but that's a Camille ultimate.
Acolyte, Hextech Ultimatum, locking down Kai, but it's the damage from one that deters Team Queso. Methonaut with the death sentence doesn't find the mark, but he's still continuing to press forward, looking for Rush, but he's got a leap strike, and he's bounds away.
Oh, you gotta hit those on Thresh. You cannot keep missing those, because those are free kills. If you're able to hit them on Rush!
Lucky timing for Andres, potentially flashing forward, timing out the counter-strike. Rush gets taken down.
Rush gets taken down. He cannot get taken down there, because not only does he die, he's probably gonna be giving away a turret as well. That's a mid lane turret. Ooh, but it seems like Sengoku is gonna try to defend this turret, however.
Andres, can he get enough damage down onto the turret? He's got Dark Passage, so he is out alive. And we got Rift Herald spawning in 15 seconds.
And Joey Skaggs has a package at home, but you cannot pick it up if you're dead!
Oh, Kai! Beautiful rotation, catching out Joey en route back to the base.
Yeah, zip that coffee, Joey. You're gonna need that, because you got caught out many times in this game already. Sengoku Gaming doing such a good job at constantly catching out Joey Skaggs, who is gonna be the main carry for Team Queso. He's gonna be the main damage, and now Team Queso just loses Rift Herald for free.
Hells, I just want you to know, it is so entertaining to listen to. You're like the tough parent watching Team Queso from home.
Yeah, I want them to do well, but... Oh, Team Queso goes for
look at that Methonaut!
He
stole the Rift Herald. Now Sengoku, it's a 4-on-2. They should have the numbers to be able to collapse on this. So suddenly, the rest of Team Queso is here to be able to fight back. Rush gets taken out. Acolyte with the Hextech Ultimatum finds another one on Uki. It's a double for Acolyte, and suddenly Team Queso, they are accelerating forward.
Somehow, some way, Team Queso was able to take it all right there. Methonaut securing that Rift Herald, and then also Team Queso securing all of those kills, and meanwhile, none of them fell. So Team Queso, I don't want to say that they were lucky, but it kind of felt like it. They got that Rift Herald right there, Rafa.
It seemed really clutch there to come at the very last moment. Sengoku had the opportunity. They had already taken out Joey from before. They can't defend the Herald from being taken down because of the safety from the Dark Passage once again.
Definitely, and as we look into the replay, it's Rush trying to get the Rift Herald, but his team is not backing him up. And then Methonaut, he steals the Rift Herald, and the follow-up for Team Queso is so good. Vegos making sure he slows everyone with the gas from Singed. And then the follow-up from the entire roster of Team Queso. 5 people were there. Kai was able to get his passive, but it was just not quite enough.
The rest of Sengoku scrambling in the aftermath of what seemed so clutch for Team Queso. You can see the Team Queso's coaching staff elated. It's not game over yet. There's still quite a things to be done, and Sengoku still have chances to come back.
And Rush is taking his blue buff. Dragon is going to be taken by Team Queso for free right now. It seems like Sengoku is going to be trying to trade off a turret on the top lane. They are giving away a Dragon, but they're going to try to compromise by taking a top lane turret for it.
And that is what this Jax is going to be built, especially for having the ability to take out turrets. But Team Queso already great response. Methonaut and Acolyte have already responded. They host is here to defend as well. So it's only a 2-on-3. They're going to all in onto Acolyte, but he's got a Hextech ultimatum to outplay the damage. Stasis to dodge the Mega Inferno Bomb, and it's Sengoku on the back foot. He bursts down to ignite from Methonaut, and Team Queso, they're routing in. They're closing on into the members of Sengoku. A beautiful Stasis from Andres keeps him alive. Dark Passage, a death sentence lands. Can Vejos find the flip? Sengoku, get out.
Oh, Team Queso is so low. If Darius could only just get into that backline and just absolutely sweep everyone away, but he couldn't. Team Queso is playing so well. Acolyte sitting on 3-0. And as we look into that replay, you know, the dive was pretty good, but unknowingly to Sengoku, Team Queso was already ready for this. Vegos, Methonaut were waiting under a turret. You cannot dive a turret like this when there is everyone following up. Kai, I wanted to see Kai just kill everyone here, but then you can see it, right? He filled his hook. Then he got slowed by Vegos, and at this point, you cannot do much anymore as a Darius. So Team Queso playing the fight very, very well right here, and yeah, securing the kills.
Yeah, even good heads up from Andres, just immediately locking down Hawk en route.
That's 0 damage from Joey Skaggs, by the way, because he was not there before we trash talk him. But yeah, that's 2.4 thousand damage from Andres set on a single target damage champion. And on the opposite side, it's actually Sengoku dealing more damage. But why would you say? That's because Team Queso is so tanky. They can soak up all of that damage, and it doesn't matter if you do more damage.
It is a 3,000 gold lead for Team Queso at the moment. Still in striking distance, still enough for Sengoku to find one good fight to get back in this game. And there are 2 carries that have to do it. Rush, once again, it is 2 items.
Oh, they have vision on it. Sengoku knows.
The Rift Herald is going to crash. It doesn't take out the turret quite yet. They need to buy time for Juan to scale on up as well. He's sitting on money for the Death Cap.
And that's Rush trying to push a top lane turret as well, but that's a dive.
Double lockdown from Andres, and Acolyte says good night, Kai, and it's a turret in reward.
And Sengoku Gaming is taking a turret back from the top lane, but the question is that really worth it? I would say it is, even though you're losing your base. This is what Sengoku has to do. They need to try to desperately get back into this game, try to desperately get Rush on a lot of gold and get him on those items. He's sitting on 10.7 thousand gold, which is a lot of gold. He's doing quite a good job. As you can see, the gold difference is not massive. It's around 2,000 gold. But if you look at the map, you know, Team Queso is doing a bit of a better job pushing out those turrets.
Team Queso making slow moves to surely accelerate this lead once again. Sengoku, though, we're approaching 15 minutes. Items are coming online. The carries are becoming threatening forces.
They're making slow moves, but are these slow moves fast enough? That's the question, right? Because when you get to that late game, Sengoku's composition is finally going to start to come online. We see Juan finish off that Rabadon's Death Cap already. He's going to be going for the Seraph's Embrace next, which is going to be built up already because he has all of those stacks already. So Team Queso has to push their advantage. Meanwhile, Sengoku Gaming...
And no hesitation from Andres whatsoever. Immediately locking down Kai with the Assault and Battery, but it's the answer back from Hawk. Going into the deep in the backline. Stasis to buy some time. Uki with the Face Breaker onto 3. Trying to stall Team Queso's backline from doing damage. Rushes in the middle. Goes in for the Counter-Strike. Finds a stun. Beautiful interrupt. Methonaut going for once again. Forced to flash away. Acolyte in the backline. Trying to do the damage. But Juan persists through all, surviving the onslaught and putting out the damage.
And that's the late game Sengoku Gaming. Winning the fights when it matters. The Baron is up and Sengoku Gaming barely winning that fight, but barely is still winning. Now they are the ones pushing the turret. turrets. They are the ones pushing their lead, and they are the ones with the gold in their pocket. This is gonna be such a scary Rush to deal with. But not only Rush, also One sitting on 11.4 thousand gold. When he goes home, he's gonna finish off his third item, Rafa.
He's cashing in, man. That Ceres is going to be looking pretty in Juan's back pocket.
He just got it. Still an Archangel Staff, so surprisingly he's 16 minutes into the game. He still hasn't finished off his Seraph's Embrace, but he's gonna have it very soon. And when he does have it, Rafa, he's gonna be so hard to kill, because not only does it give so much AP, it also makes you super tanky.
And it'll be just in time for the Elder Dragon, which is spawning in 30 seconds. Team Queso, everything was going well for them in the early game, but this is the point where Sengoku are at their best. So everything has to be perfect from both teams if they want to be the ones that advance.
Both teams sitting on 54,000 gold. Both teams sitting on 4 towers. Taken. Both teams sitting on a dragon. This is the most equal match we've seen during the Icons, I believe, Rafa.
It all comes down to positioning and execution. Elder is alive.
And that's the Seraph's Embrace finished for One as well. He's going to be so hard to deal with for Team Queso. Joey Skaggs is 0-3, only sitting on 2 items up against that powerhouse of a Ziggs. The question is, can Team Queso deal with this? And the question is, can One position himself properly to dash out the damage that he needs to do? And it seems like Sengoku Gaming is going to try to start off this dragon.
And crucially, Joey is in position now.
He just got his package.
Just got his package. Okay. So Sengoku, recognizing that, know that it's a force. They don't have to start it off immediately. They just want to bait out the package and then go for the second fight.
Acolyte is split pushing. Where's Acolyte?
Okay, well, Uki find the engagement originally. Mega Bomb onto the back line. Rush has already found 1 kill, but Joey's answering back. Stasis from the front line of Team Queso. Joey needs time and space to be able to put out damage, but Rush is still living through it all, finding Joey into the back line. Acolyte, can he come to the party? Can he come and clean up this mess? But it is Sengoku with the numbers advantage. Acolyte finds One, but it is Kai that has the dunk and the damage. One gets out alive once again, and Acolyte is sent packing a prime gaming ace for Sengoku!
Sengoku seeing that Acolyte is not there, taking the 5 versus 4, securing the win. Sengoku Gaming, they just won the game, Rafa.
They have 17 seconds on Andres, 2 seconds on Methanaut. He would have to clear out the way, but you can hear the battle cries and the battle victory. Sengoku, even with their backs against the wall, triumph for Japan!
And that's EU eliminated, Rafa. It's over. I haven't grasped it yet, but Sengoku Gaming just did it again. They eliminated EU yet again during the world stage.
As Riku said, history repeats itself. Team Queso managing to get a game off them this time around, but Sengoku, when push came to shove, they buckled down, they doubled down on their comfort picks, they trusted in Rush, they trusted in One with the Ziggs backline damage, and they pulled through.
They scaled into the late game. They did exactly what they had to do. They found that one team fight that they had to find. Acolyte was nowhere to be found. They saw that and they fully engaged. They hard engaged. They made sure they took every single thing in the team fight. And when Acolyte showed up, the fight was already over.
And that is the difference between a great team and a world-class team. When you see opportunities given to you like that, no hesitation whatsoever. Sengoku proving why they still deserve to be in Icons.
Oh yeah, definitely. They just went for that one. Like, they lost the whole game, but that one moment where it matters, the one moment in the late game, they just took it all.
They endured until the very end, and then they took the fight that was most important. That's Wild Rift, baby.
Wow. It's crazy, right? How they can just win a game like that. They win the entire series. They're getting just a bit closer to the knockout stage, and Team Queso just got eliminated.
This is the ultimate test for many teams, and we've already seen it from team after team throughout the group stage, even the play-in stage, where you have to be, if you're going to go for the early game composition, for the early game style, you need to be persistent, and the execution has to be flawless and accelerating to the game where there is no point of return. Sengoku couldn't do that in Game 2. That was Team Queso's advantage, but in Game 3, they adapted, they found ways to endure, and that's how they answer back.
It's crazy how one mistake can just lose you the entire thing. You can see them being super upset because they were the ones winning the game, but it was just that one tiny, well, it was actually a big mistake, which completely lost them the game right there.
For Sengoku, Team Queso, a challenging and worthy opponent that brought them to a Game 3. Glad to see that we got to see such a... It's okay, Hells. It's okay. You know what? This is the spirit of competitions. This is what happens when the best teams around the world play against each other. Someone's gonna win.
Someone is gonna lose.
Get defeated and knocked out of the tournament. But for more on the series and the implications of Sengoku further advancing and getting a rematch against RRQ, Kangas, Riku, and TJ.
Hells.
He's playing Twisted Fate, and he's gold
This
carding
one's
all
for
the
you.
EU viewers.
This one's for you and all the EU viewers out there, the fans that are hoping for the victory. But Sengoku do it again, knocking out Team Queso and EU from an international competition.
Yeah, it's crazy how his history repeated itself through the same way, very long games. The biggest difference would be it went to a game number 3.
Yeah, and it was a better look for Team Queso than they had against Sengoku back at the Horizon Cup.
True.
They made that, even that game 3 very close, very messy. It could have gone either way until Acolyte gets caught in the side lane, not near his team, doesn't have a teleport, and Sengoku spot the opportunity and go.
That's Wild Rift.
That's Wild Rift, baby.
If you have the late game team
I
fight,
didn't join you all. I'm so sorry.
you gotta have the
okay,
baby.
you got
Do you want to do it again?
All right, take 2. That's Wild Rift.
That's Wild Rift, baby.
That's Wild Rift, baby.
No, you were supposed to do
Rico!
it together. Rico.
You're a disaster.
We're not doing it a third time. We're
No,
not
let's
gonna
not
do
do it,
it a
let's
third
not
time.
do it.
What we're gonna
Embarrassment
do,
to this desk.
what we mean by that is that the late game fight is the most important part. If you're gonna go that late, you have to win it. You have to come out
I
ahead.
didn't realize
there.
that was what we meant by that.
That's what I meant by that. That's Wild Rift. I mean, if you have a split pusher who's not able to join the fight and it's a 5v4, Sengoku saw the opportunity and they take it. But like you were saying, TJ, it was back and forth throughout the game. Team Queso had purchase in most of this game.
Yeah, it started very well for Team Queso, and they managed to keep it very messy around these team fights, which is what we asked for with the composition. Like they went for, again, a little bit more team fight in this comp, a little bit more front to back, but still a composition that thrives off of the Thresh finding picks, that thrives off of the individual 1v1s, until Sengoku were able to execute a very good frontline role composition in that late game team fight. It was Wild Rift, baby.
It was Wild Rift, baby. I mean, I think the biggest difference, well, the similar things that happen for Team Queso is that they have the same key picks, Vi, Thresh, and Corki for Joey. The biggest difference would be is that they couldn't get the early kills for themselves, and that's what made it so hard for them to transition into that late game. Better late game for Sengoku. They still had that Jax, they have the Ziggs, and that's the reason why we got to see that split push, that attempt on split push where, just as you said, TJ, they didn't have teleport.
Yeah, and the big thing with the Jax, I think, the Jax, the Darius, is that they're pretty active even from behind.
Sure.
We have this middle point in the game where Team Queso do have a lead, but Sengoku still have the opportunity to make plays because they can land CC.
That's Wild Rift, baby.
That's
I mean,
Wild
this
Rift.
composition, they just kept getting better and better as the game went on. There were moments in the early game where it looked like Team Queso were getting the better plays. They were absorbing the pressure, outplaying some mistakes. But then this was the key fight, the key moment where it's a 5v4.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like Sengoku really identified what they had to do. They were confident to pull the trigger. They saw that Camille didn't have teleport. It's go time 4v5. They cleaned up. So once they got the teleport down, it was already too late.
And in these fights, you have the perfect front line. The Counter-Strike Jax occupying up front.
What was I doing?
I think that was the final.
Jax, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was the final fight right there.
You got the Counter-Strike Jax operating up front, the Ziggs behind. Very easy to execute
I was Ziggs
front
in
to
that
back fight.
My Coca-Cola was the bombs.
That's Wild Rift, baby. Front to back team fight, all about the ease of execution, which is what we wanted after Sengoku made kind of a mess of that game tip.
Yeah. It's rough for Team Queso, as that
Ooh,
is
the
the gold grab.
That's Wild Rift.
That's
Baby.
Wild Rift, baby. We see the little valley appearing again. This time it was Team Queso that were almost in the lead. They were almost at the finish line, and
Yeah.
that's what makes it so heartbreaking for all the EU fans. This was not a clear one team was better than the other. This was not a clear,
No.
we got
No.
shut
This was
out.
a really good series.
It was a very close series. Very, very close. And that means that, I mean, at least the EU fans can walk away from that saying, we were competitive. We brought it to Sengoku this time. They still won the series. as they did at Horizon Cup.
Yeah.
But at least they can, leave this tournament, leave this event saying we put it all on the Rift.
You know it's a close series. You know it was a close game when it will all boil down to an Elder Drake 50-50.
Yeah, and that was, I think, 3 games in a row. That all
Yeah,
came
that's
down
what
to the
happened.
Elder Dragon
Yep,
fight.
exactly. And when we look back at the Sengoku victories over Team Queso, a lot of these games went over 20 minutes. So this is definitely how Sengoku plays. They love the long haul.
And now Sengoku will be moving forward in Icons up against RRQ next. And that's where I want to bring the discussion here, because Sengoku, yes, they win this battle, but this is, air quotes, the group of life, kind of, as we were talking about, based on the strength, presumed strength of these regions. RRQ versus Sengoku, what do we think about that future matchup?
This is super interesting, right? Because remember, RRQ faced and sent Unsold Stuff Gaming home. So basically we have only Sengoku Gaming, the only, representative from the WJC. And then this means they're here for not only continuing the Icons, but as well to get revenge for their region.
The very end of the road as well for Team Queso, the last European representative. I think overall it was a very good international showing for EU. We had some good performances from Gamelord and Rix earlier in the tournament. They should be happy with their region's performance overall.
Overall, I think EU fans, even though you're not advancing through more of group stage or into knockout stage, not the worst showing as a region right there. So with that said, we will be sending it to a break because 2 matches down, 2 to go. Coming up next, it's Burium United versus Flash Wolves. So Icon 2022, we'll be back.
That's Wild Rift, baby.
After this short break, that's Wild Rift, baby.
There's something about games.
What you doing there gives you real chills.
There is one thing that can't be stopped.
Feelings. And if you can feel it,
It must be real, right?
that's
That's real magic.